Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show. Place about games, friends, and getting better. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Jeff Marchiafava.
That's me.
Joined by Janet Garcia.
Hello.
The one and only Leo Vader.
Haha.
Oh, he swings in on a rope. And we're also joined by the fantastic returning champion, former MinnMax cohort, Sergio Vasquez.
Wahoo!
He's here! He's here! Everybody rejoice at home. Welcome back, Serial.
Good to be here.
Yeah, what have you been up to, dude?
Just doing consultant and game dev stuff, working on some side projects, and the rest I can't talk about. So,
Are you? Here's a question for you. Sit down, please. Are you busy? Do you look at your schedule and you say, "My God, there's too much going on," or do you have like nice, peaceful days in your freelancing
it's
world?
a lot of it is self-guided. So I started using more like what are called Pomodoro timers, which is just
Let's go.
You came to the right podcast for that, buddy. We're on one
Yes,
right
I'm
now.
all in the Pomodoro timers right now.
because
We
I
finally have them outnumbered. 3-2.
we're gonna get so much done, guys. It's gonna be sick.
So it's like I will do like one loop of that on like side projects, and then I will do a loop of that for like consulting stuff and then like job search stuff. But I'm like I am keeping busy, but it is a lot of it is self-guided because like a lot of it is just I'm learning Unity and like learning like tabletop stuff so that I can like design games around them.
Yeah.
Because I think the reason you're seeing a lot of tabletop-esque games on Steam is because they're very easy to prototype because you can just have a board and do it physically. And you don't need to actually build out the actual project in the editor.
Right,
right. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, maybe I can do some of that and figure that out. But then also on the other side, I am learning the engines and stuff. So,
jeez, man, very
it's been fun.
impressive. We all feel lazy now, but we can be lazy because we're playing some games, man. We have a wave of amazing games that are hitting the shores of Good Gamer Beach here, everybody. We got a lot to cover. Talking about 007.
It's gonna end in a factory.
That's right. 007 First Light is out. We're going to be talking all about the Bond game, the follow-up to Hitman. Then we're going to be talking about Mina the Hollower, sharing final thoughts on that Game Boy Color-inspired game from the creators of Shovel Knight. Lego Batman, Legacy of the Dark Knight. I'm excited to talk all about it. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. We'll be talking about that game in a bigger way. And then, of course, back half of the show, we have some wonderful questions, comments submitted from the MinnMax community that we greatly appreciate their support. Speaking of support, Leo Vader, do you like that word?
Yeah.
Well, might I let you know about a funky way to support us before this coming Monday? If you are a brand new supporter and you jump in and support us at any tier on Patreon, you go to patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. If you want to directly support independent games media before this coming Monday, I will personally reach out to you and DM you a Steam code for Town to City, which just went 1.0. When we talk about the wave of amazing games that are hitting right now, like don't forget about Town to City, which was in early access last year. We raved about it, Jeffem and Sarah and I in particular. Remember that game, Jeffem?
Yeah, it's great.
It's freaking
I want to play more.
Yeah.
Now I have an excuse to go back.
There we go. It just hit 1.0. And it is a very approachable but complex city builder with overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. It is quite a good game, everybody. So if you jump in and support us at any tier, again, any tier before this coming Monday, I will DM you a Steam code for Town to City. And so again, this is brand new supporters only, no upgrading or returning. So get a great game, support us at the same time before June 1st, 2026. We'll update the description and post on social media if we run out of codes, but we should be good to go. So jump in and get a great game and support us. We'd appreciate it. Town to City, everybody, now 1.0. 1.007 First Light. Hey, Leo, you previewed this game a while ago, and as the world's biggest Hitman fan, you're like, guys, I don't want to freak out, but I think 007 First Light might be very, very good. And it was like a whole roller coaster ride because IO did not send out codes for a very long time. So everybody in the press is like, what's going on? Do we got a stinky chicken on our hands here? And then it turns out, no, codes just came in really late, but then everybody played it and we're like, wait, no, this absolutely freaking rules.
Yeah, maybe they're just trying to teach you a lesson about anticipation and being in the moment.
Right. How dare we not understand the lesson from a lot of folks scrambling over the weekend to play this game? How much have you played at this point, Leo?
It's like 4 to 5 hours of the campaign up to the first deepest dive stopping point.
Yeah.
But I have 10 hours on Steam from replaying stuff and doing side missions and from streaming max settings just today.
Yeah, new episode just dropped. Yeah, so we should point out we're doing the deepest dive on 007 First Light. This is the best, most thorough discussion about the game on the internet. It's a 3-part Game Club discussion. We have Haley on there, Jeffem on there, Jacob on there, Leo on there, and then Michael Huber from Easy Allies is going to be joining as well, which I'm very excited to hear his thoughts overall on this game. And it's going to be an incredibly thorough discussion. If you support us on Patreon, you can submit your thoughts for us to read during those discussions. And the first stopping point for the first session, which we're collecting your comments this Saturday on Patreon, is where, Leo?
It's after you get back to when you get back to the base after the hotel mission.
Okay, so do the hotel mission that they showed off at the first big gameplay reveal. Do all that stuff, and then when you return to the base, that is when you yank the cord from the wall and you stop playing at that point, no matter what you're playing on.
And I'll say it. You'll say, this feels like a great stopping point, and that's the stopping point.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right, Leo, what do you think about 007 First Light? Getting your hands on the finished thing here.
I'm loving it so much.
Really?
I'm so impressed by it. And the fact that the side mission stuff is like combat arenas is so unexpected coming from Hitman, where combat was so de-emphasized. It's like the combat here is so strong that's how they're banking on your endless replayability, is like just doing little combat arenas.
That is, I think, my biggest takeaway for this game as well, in the early sections at least, is like, I know you said in the preview round, you're like, I didn't know IO had this in them. I think is the way you phrased it for some of like the combat animations. But I think overall, that's my take. Like playing on PC, it's like this game looks so damn good. It has been so long since I played a game and just been blown away by the production values and the animations and everything happening in here. It's like, whoa, this feels like a next gen game, which is weird to say 6 years into the console generation, but like, it's awesome.
And it's so interesting how it's a movie franchise primarily. Of course, there were books first, but this is more like the movies. And yet it's less of a trying to be a movie game than we're used to in this like caliber of release.
Yeah.
Where it's you get the linear walking through the story section and talk to the people, and then you get the long cutscene, and then you get the combat, whatever. It's like everything kind of has gameplay woven into it in a way that is very conscious that it's a game and is excited to be a game, but is also so cinematic in a way that is like a strength of movies. It's a really unique energy.
Yeah, I would say that like I'm enjoying it quite a lot as well, and I would say like it feels more cinematic than I think a lot of games that try to be movies. And like I think at this point everyone's kind of heard of like the kind of training montage that happens early on in the game that is basically
explain
like
it, yeah.
Yeah, so there's basically like during one of the early sections of the game, you're doing your training as James Bond, and rather than like do the thing where they're like, now let's go to this next thing and you'll have to learn. And like by this point, you're getting some amount of prompts for like, here's how you take someone down and stuff. But they basically run you through a bunch of obstacle courses with like jump cuts of like, okay, here's how you aim, and then you shoot 3 targets and immediate transition to like, now you're in this sprint arena where you're trying to jump and like move through obstacles. And they treat it like there's music underscoring it, and like you're booking it through all of these individual segments of gameplay that are like, here's how you do one mechanic and then we're moving on. And that is both inspired by cinema and like a really expedited way to just say like, here, you're learning the game, but you're all of it is integrated into the game.
Yes.
Write it down for best thing.
I already did. I literally wrote it down for
Yep.
best thing at the end of the year. Because it's like, why isn't every tutorial like this? It just makes you think of like,
has nobody figured that out yet?
Yeah.
I'm sure technically it's very
like,
hard, but
it is also like the way that it's structured. So like basically where I'm at, which I think is exactly where you want us to leave off for the deepest dive, is like I just finished that hotel mission. And basically that feels like the end of the first act, which is all like most of it is like the 6 months or so that Bond spends in training. And the way that it's like you do one kind of short level, and then it's like, you know, February, and then it's like you do a kind of another short segment of gameplay, and it's like March, right? And it's like every kind of short thing is like we're trying to book through this 6 months of things. And for a while it felt like, okay, so I'm kind of ready to play the quote unquote real game, and it took longer than I thought. But then I realized like this isn't like the tutorial, this is kind of where the game is, where it's like you do kind of these smaller portions of the Hitman stuff, where it's like you have this small training arena where you're doing like the kind of immersive sim, kind of like, you know, figuring out how to get through guards and stuff. But then there's also like, there's a driving sequence. There's like these very much longer than I thought, like narrative sequences where it's like you're going through the different, like you're going through like Hugh's lab and stuff, and you're talking to people, and it's like you're kind of you're sharing space. Like the most interesting thing is that like you're kind of sharing space with these two other agents. So like you're all coming up together as 00 agents, right?
Right.
And so they have a much bigger presence than like most other characters do in Bond movies outside of like the Bond girl and like the villain. Like that was interesting, but like the amount of time they spend on narrative and like how much of it isn't spent in like the total like here's a box kind of play around in it kind of mode. I think that was like really surprising, but like I've been enjoying it so far. Like it feels like it's all really sharply written, and I think like the hotel area was probably like the first kind of quote unquote real mission I felt, where you had all these different options and approaches. But up until then, it wasn't like, oh, you're not really playing the game until then. It's like you're just kind of enjoying a different game until you get to the Hitman stuff.
Yeah, that's like the first big level. I went into this hopeful because I love Hitman, and I've loved it since the very first game, and I know I like get labeled the Hitman hater because I haven't quite loved the new ones as much as Leo, who loves them more than anybody. So get off my back about that. But like I went into this hopeful and also a little unsure of IO taking on something that has these AAA expectations and that is probably going to be more action focused. And like the Hitman franchise has always struggled with that aspect of like straight up action versus, what Hitman does really well. And I was not expecting them to nail the action as much and also nail the storytelling as much as they have because that hasn't always been like a huge component to the Hitman franchise. And like this is maybe like one of the best Bond stories as well. Like the characters are actually interesting. They're not just the stereotypes that like, okay, well, there's going to be an M and there's going to be a Q. Like here, the characters are interesting. The characters, their logic makes sense in a way that you wouldn't expect in a lot of these games. Like I have been taking notes for the deepest dive, and it's like actually her reasoning here makes more sense than I would have thought. Like there is Bond's, Bond's persona is, hey, I'm an irrational person. I do things that you're not going to expect, whatever. And it's always like, well, yeah, why would you want him in this kind of training program? And like they actually explain it here, and it does make sense in a way that like you do not get from so many of these games. Like it has been firing on all cylinders in a way that I'm absolutely thrilled for IO that like they have pulled this off in a way that is beyond my hopes and expectations going into it. And
they do a really good job with the prequel stuff where like, that the reason that Bond is the agent he is because he does think outside the box, but it's like right now they're setting it up as like the whole point of the 007 organization is for people to like think laterally and like kind of improvise. And like their motto is like to always do what's unexpected. Right. But then he basically does that too much. So everyone's like kind of, okay, you need to kind of like tone it down. And he's kind of quote unquote doing poorly in the program because he's too unconventional. And so like, I mean, it's not like the best writing ever, but it's like, it is compelling enough to see me through this, right? Like I'm as invested in the narrative as I am kind of like sandbox stuff, which I definitely was not expecting going in.
The plot is engaging, but also the thing that really stood out to me about this game, which like I agree with all of you, it's very strong. This is like easily like up there for like one of the best things of the year. I think what really makes it so compelling and what I'm really impressed by is like kind of touching on what a lot of y'all already kind of brought up. Like it's their ability to take like the amalgamation of all these components and make it work really well together. Like whether you like or dislike Uncharted, there definitely is Uncharted DNA in this.
Yes. But
where I think it deviates is that like it doesn't spend as much time on any singular thing as you might expect. So it's like if it's Hitman-y, which I think also if you don't like Hitman games, I think you should still try this. I don't think you need to like Hitman because it doesn't give you as much freedom as Hitman gives you. Like I haven't pushed anyone into like a vat of something. You know what I mean? It's like there's some funny things, but it's not. And I'm sure playing this, Leo, I got to go back and watch your stream because I'm like, I know Leo's probably doing crazy stuff in here, and I'm just turn the vacuum on, walk around. I play a little boring, admittedly.
I will plug that stream because Haley just got back from Japan and hasn't seen any of the game, and she immediately the first thing she saw was me absolutely doing Globetrotters clown work on these guards and upside missions. So that stream is really fun from the jump for her reaction to that.
Nice.
Yeah, hell yeah. Like, so that I'm sure that stuff is in there, but I think if you kind of play it straight, it will play a lot more like a traditional like AAA game. But where I think they do a great job is they don't spend too much on any of those things. Like, you'll have the kind of stealthiness that you might expect from like a Hitman, but then boom, you might be in like a driving sequence. The driving sequence like might be fun just on its own, but a lot of times they also throw in some dialogue that's like relevant to what's going on the plot. So boom, we're moving that forward. Then we're somewhere else. And they have some shooting galleries, but they don't have that many shooting galleries. So when you get them, it actually feels like, obviously you can accidentally make your own shooting gallery by getting caught and kind of having to, you know, fight back. But like the ones they set up for you are spread out enough that I feel like excited by them. They feel interesting and new. And what I've kind of landed on like 9 hours into this is that this is like a page turner, but of action. And that's not to say the story is not interesting and I don't want to know more. But this game does a great job, especially like once you get a bit further in than like the deepest dive stopping point. It like if you already are like very bought in, it's kind of only up from there, in my opinion. I don't know how the game ends, but like I actually found the hotel to be one of the weaker parts. Maybe that's also me getting used to like the game world and the mechanics a little bit more.
Right.
But it just would be sequence. And I'm like, okay, obviously after this sequence, they're going to like give me kind of a conclusion of the chapter. And they're like, nope, something else is happening in a way that's like really exciting. I think sometimes when you feel that in a game, you're like, oh, are we done already? Like, I kind of want to wrap this up. But this just feels like, oh my gosh, we're still going. Like, there's more to this plot line. Like, he's not out yet. There's another like thing to get through. And I find that to be like really compelling. Like, it has just a really wonderful momentum once you really get going with it.
Yeah.
And I think more the Hitman has, we talk more about the gameplay of Hitman because there's like more stories to tell and stuff, but something that's always been like, you know, equally a part of what's so wonderful about World of Assassination to me and such a strength of IOs is that every room and every map that every room is in, there's such attention given to how that should feel in a way that feels so researched and accurate. That, you know, the throbbing bass in the nightclub, that type of stuff. It's like everything has its own energy, and this game shows that strength in such a great way because it's moving through a story from location to location so fast, and yet each thing has its own personality and is so memorable.
Yeah, and I think it really shows their strength in like kind of the not cinematic narrative, where it's like a lot of in that hotel sequence, like the incidental conversations that you're walking around and listening to people, like even just in the kitchen and stuff when you sneak back there and stuff, and like you're listening to the maids kind of talk to each other about like, and some of it is relevant, like there's a explicit like eavesdropping mechanic, but also you're just like watching people kind of have these little mini scenes as you're walking around, and the fact that it's like that hotel is not necessarily as expansive as like other Hitman levels, but that's all like weave together as part of this like larger kind of like Jana said, like this very well-paced experience. So it feels like to me like they storyboarded this kind of Bond movie and then said like, how do we build the gameplay parts and pace them around so that it's like you're getting a little bit of everything, but that all of it is serving kind of, we want to tell a new Bond story where he's younger and stuff. So it's like they're almost working narrative first and then kind of building stuff, where I think Hitman did have like this established narrative, but it felt like that was more in service to, we want to put you in a bunch of really cool locations and have all this stuff happen. Whereas here it's like, we know that we have to kind of get the Bond portion of this right. And like all of the gameplay they've included is stuff that you've seen in Bond movies.
Yeah. Leo, do you think like the Hitman community is just going to be like, okay, enjoyed this as a roller coaster ride, and now there's going to be like 2 to 3 levels that I'll want to replay again and again in a Hitman-like fashion? Like, just give me slices like the hotel or something where you can kind of, where it does open up and have those pockets of more Hitman-y gameplay.
I hope so. There's kind of a surprising amount of stuff that's replayable in that way. As a Hitman fan, I was excited to see that each level has its own set of challenges to go back and do it without alerting any guards, or take down a certain amount of guards by throwing them off ledges or whatever. Replayability in the similar way to Hitman, except is of course playing with the combat a little more than playing with the mechanics of the map. But there are also ones that are, you know, you can achieve by doing the social stealth in a different way. That type of stuff is so cool how they've Bondified it. The parts where you can't just open fire on a crowd, there's not that level of freedom, because Bond wouldn't do that. but you can do wandering into a back room and you bump into somebody who knows you're not supposed to be there, and you can spend some of this currency, this special social stealth currency, to bluff your way past them and give them an alibi that gets them off your back for a certain amount of time. And then finding intel in the back rooms and eavesdropping on things will like give you some of that currency back. So there's mechanics to the social stealth parts that also make them a little more exciting to replay and a little more decisions within that, even if it is remarkably different from how Hitman did it in a way that's just like impressive to me.
So when I first posted about this, I compared this as being like this is to Hitman as Deathloop was to Dishonored, and I think a lot of people took it as a more of a negative, because I think like Deathloop has a bit of like a mixed reception, I guess.
Which is so weird, because when it came out, everyone's like 10, perfect 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and now it's like mixed.
To say like I like Deathloop, I don't think it's as good as Dishonored, but like the reason I make that comparison is that this is like a very like in Deathloop you end up playing as someone playing a Dishonored game where they're trying to do their perfect thing, and you're kind of following through on kind of a pre-established script for an immersion sim. Whereas this, it feels like, yes, you have some amount of the expansive kind of like tools and stuff at your disposal, but a lot of it is streamlined to be a little bit more accessible. So like you have this basically like a electric watch that can automatically hack things. So you're not figuring out how to kind of interact with these things like you would in Hitman. You have like a go-to like kind of all-in-one hack tool that can also like poison or like, mess people up or do like some of the social stuff. And like what Leo said is you have a very like currency of like bluff, basically, where you can go in and you get more basically bluff currency by doing things in the environment or like fighting people. If by the time you finish First Light, I've only played so much of it, but like by the time I finished Deathloop, I was like, man, I could really play some Dishonored right now. It feels like First Light is setting you up to, by the end of it, be like, you know what? I should play some Hitman, because then someone tells you like, yeah, if you like the immersive sim parts of it, go play Hitman, where it's like it's much bigger, it's more in depth and stuff. But like this also works as its own thing. Is like here's a Bond game, the likes of which like we've kind of always wanted. In fact, I dug up an old blog entry that I wrote in like 2009.
Perfect.
About how like I wish they would stop making shooters out of Bond and make an Assassin's Creed game that was Bond flavored. And this is kind of that. This is obviously like more
open
nuanced
world.
Than that. But like, it's like this is a Bond game where you're actually like doing everything that Bond does in those movies versus like, oh yeah, GoldenEye has such a stranglehold on this franchise that every subsequent James Bond game is going to be a first-person shooter where all you do is run through levels and shoot people and not do any of the like the social engineering stuff.
That's the crazy part. Yeah, just being like, oh, they're adapting it. You have a bluff ability in here, like they're just leaning into every range of possibility is so cool.
And it evolves or changes depending on how you want to look at it. But it changes that Hitman formula in like really meaningful ways that are really interesting as a fan of Hitman. Like I like that this feels differently, and it also feels like they have taken that and said, well, like this kind of makes 007 easier than Hitman was. So therefore we're just going to add like a ton more enemies. Like I have been really surprised in some of the areas that you go, like the basement of the hotel, where it's like they get you in there. It's your first like real mission. And so like you're kind of on, uneven ground in the same way that 007 is. And then they put you in this area and it's just like, there are enemies everywhere. And there's not an obvious like, okay, well take this path and then go that way because that's going to be the way that you get past everyone without like, I have gotten into a lot more skirmishes here where it's just like, okay, things went wrong and now I'm fighting and now I'm running away trying to find like a place to hide or something and like get me out of this. And that is perfect for like a spy kind of cat and mouse action-y suspense kind of genre that like just feels perfect for Bond and like is really fun and exciting from a gameplay perspective where I'm not just sitting there being like, okay, how do I get the silent assassin rating on this one where nobody sees me and it's very meticulous and slow. Like it is a little more seat of your pants. And that's really cool and really fun. And I'm glad they like kind of up that ante in terms of like, yeah, we'll just throw a bunch of enemies in there and like, you figure it out. However, it's not going to be perfect. Figure it out. And that's
I do
cool.
think times that like it errs on not being too basic, but it has a few like pockets. I mean, it is a game that's meant to be like, hey, you can if you follow along with what you're being asked to do, you will like figure it out, and you also improve over time. Like I think this game is really well designed, and that I feel like I've gotten better at it as I've played, and not like I figured out something janky about it. It's like after doing enough like hand-to-hand combat. I mean, the parries are very easy to nail. It's a big yellow flash, but you know me and parries. Once that parry came up, I said grand opening, grand closing. I don't want to do this, but it's like okay, I'm really great at like hand-to-hand combat. I'm better at telling like what kind of cover is going to be like easily destructible and what angle might be better. Like I can feel myself getting better, which is I think is super cool because that's the journey that your character is also going on. But there's like a couple moments where I'm like, okay, this is definitely like video game energy. Like in the museum, I'm like, all right, guys, there's not this many vacuum cleaners. And I know you didn't want to make another asset to like do that. And that's also why I feel like that's what ends up being in my view 9 hours in one of the weaker ones, because I noticed that a little bit more than in other areas where I don't know, like it's more believable to have like radios or whatever. And then the other element that's a little like okay, game is I think I needed like a key card, and I had noticed like I can even scan and see like items. So I'm like, okay, the key card's on this guy who's going to the room. I'm gonna follow him. And then I'm following him, and I'm like waiting to like get the drop on him. And then he's like, yeah, if anyone needs the key card that you're looking for, I'll be over here. And I'm like, obviously I do get why they do that. They want you to be able to, you know, be successful
Get through it, yeah.
and continue moving through. But there are a few times where it does feel a little like heavy-handed. And my last light ding is I'm playing on PS5 base.
Yeah.
Load time's a little long if you die.
Oh, really?
So I've just been hoping to get better at the game, because if you like die back to back, it's like just it's a bit long. I'm not feeling the power of the SSD processor anymore. So you know, whatever.
They strip
I'm
those out.
also on PS5, and it looks great. But yes, that was another thing that I noticed of like, oh yeah, load times are back for this generation.
Oh, interesting. Leo, is it everything you wanted so far? Do you think mission fully accomplished if it keeps this up?
So far, yes. And the tax sim stuff, the name of the side mode, is so well implemented and realized as a thing you can do concurrent to your playthrough and keep playing after as like an end game thing, where it's more grindable challenges, escalations in the style of Hitman, where it gets like the same mission harder and harder and harder with different modifiers of like you can't do stealth takedowns, people have a shorter field of vision so you can get away with more. That being a way to keep remixing things is exceeded my expectations for like longevity of this. But we'll see how I feel by the end. It's so interesting that they give you like basically all the combat moves from the jump, from that first training tutorial montage, and then all the things you're unlocking after that are gadgets and weapons.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate that so much, not feeling like I'm missing something that's so important for the flow of combat, but also I wonder if I will have had my fill of it by the end. But there's so much dynamic things, and you're always learning things. Like Janet said, you're getting better by playing it because you'll be like thrown into a bag of flour and it'll explode and it'll blind everybody around you in this cloud of dust. And you suddenly have this new thing you know how to do, and you can shoot the flour or set it off in all these different ways, and you just like learn by playing in that great Hitman experimentation way. So so happy with it.
It's funny because like I like one thing about Hitman that I've played some of Hitman, but I think I got to a point where it's like it was overwhelming the number of ways that you could tackle certain things. To the point where it's like, am I doing like the most showy or the best kind of thing? And like the answer is like it's whatever you end up finding, right? It's kind of more emergent or whatever. Here, I don't know how you would react to this, Leo, but like how right now like that hotel area definitely doesn't feel as expansive in terms of like how many approaches you have. I'd be curious to see if you disagree or not. But it felt more manageable in that way of like you're getting hints about like, okay, this person said this thing, and you're explicitly eavesdropping, and it's added to your journal as like you have these two kind of ways to pursue this objective. Like, and that I think made me more kind of, okay, I have my objective, I know how to solve this, but maybe let me move around a little bit more and see like and I definitely was not doing as much of the combat as much, because I was definitely like taking more of my time of like, oh, there's these three guys blocking the door, but you can push this shelf over and like knock two of them out, and then the other guy will investigate, and then you can like knock them out. So it has like enough kind of stealth juice there to kind of make a stealth playthrough worthwhile. But yeah, like once you get into a fight, you don't feel like, okay, well, I got into a fight, the combat isn't necessarily like the thing I'm here for, so I'm going to reload as soon as I get spotted.
Yeah, it's kind of trading one type of experimentation for another, for
Right.
sure. And the hotel, I was thinking, in Hitman, you'd be able to climb around a lot more of the outside of this building.
Yeah.
And maybe the alternative most directly is like, instead of that, there's a bunch more focus on keys and different ways to get into certain rooms and keys that can be found through different ways, which is just a more grounded way to do it. And part of the ways that it is like more cinematic is because the paths, the choices you have, they all have voice acting. They all have specific encounters with characters that you can have or not have or see or never see your whole playthrough. It's making interesting trades, and I'm glad there is still so much room for experimentation in what they have, even if it pales in comparison to Hitman, as everything does.
Well, sure.
Yeah, well, and it's like you still see that kind of like IO, kind of touch there, where it's like everything feels like, okay, you're kind of finding your way to your own solutions, even if it's a little bit more guided. There's a lot of that incidental dialogue that is like, okay, this is a really good case for like why even barks or like incidental dialogue shouldn't be left up to like AI and should be written by people. And you still get a little bit of that comedy where it's like at one point you open a door and someone's in the bath and you're like, what are you doing here? And then like, okay, close the door on your way out. But it's like the window sill that I need to get to is on the other side. So I closed the door because I thought that like she would spot me otherwise. But then I thought like, maybe I should just run back in there. And like, so this woman just watched me walk in on her. Oh God. And then close the door and then run through the thing out the window and said nothing. So there is still like, you can still do that comedy-esque stuff that.
Yeah, so I didn't have to leave. I just said I'm going to find a different way to get in.
I just assume it's like every other woman in the game where every time she looks at Bond, just gives like a full body scan and licks her lips basically.
I'm like, I feel like he's not that like.
You can't say that, Janet, please. He's our Lord and Savior.
I wouldn't mind seeing IO flex their legs a little bit.
Like a hotter guy,
on a character that not
time.
all the women found super hot, because 47's the same way, where every female who ever talks about him is like, who is that guy?
Really? I never would have guessed that.
Is it his
for
bald
47.
head?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to oil that bald head.
I need to
Oh,
stick in
man.
that serial code, man.
Yeah, they. I think also just like they do some fun things with like I think what you come to expect in game design as a player who's like spent time with like games. So for instance, like they'll have like one cool idea and you're like, oh, this is fun. And then they're like, no, it keeps going. And I'm like, oh, like they kind of stack without spoiling like the moments. They sort of stack like one cool mechanic and they say, okay, what if you have to do this like while you're shooting? And it's like, oh, now this is kind of like giving it a little bit of extra pizzazz. They also have a moment that I really enjoy a bit later on where you're in a marketplace and you're then tasked with coming up with a lot of money. And you just have like a lot of ways that you can go about doing that. And like, I think a lot of games have had that mission. The like, hey, you're in this place. Are you going to do A, B, or C? But I think what makes it just feel a little bit fresher is that they don't say you can do A, B, or C. They say figure it out. And then you feel, I think, just like a lot more like achievement, autonomy, and interest as the player, or at least I do, in that like, God, I don't even know what I need to do. And it's like, well, start poking around. You know what the tools are. You know what kind of things you can do. You know, you can talk, you can eavesdrop, you can scan. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can do this. And it's like, oh man, I can pickpocket people. That might be the easiest way. I gotta distract them. Is there anything I can distract? And it has like to the point where I wish that they would have let me keep going. Like they end up mechanical spoilers. Once you get the amount of money, it auto says like, cool, go back to the guy and continue. And I'm like, we could make a little bit more money over here. I kind of wish they let me just keep doing it because it was just so fun and different.
It's that way of them letting you guide yourself to the solution. That I mean, even if it's like, yeah, there's obviously like you look to the left and there's like, the blue kind of thing that you need to climb over that is like very obvious, but it's like that's another innovation. Instead of yellow, it's blue. But like, yeah, they do a really good job of like basically making you feel like you're more involved, even if there are very clearly breadcrumbing your way to the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hotel level, which is like the first big one that we've all played, like you're pursuing a person through the hotel for a large part of it, and I was surprised by the end of it. Like, I'm obviously doing what they want me to do, but by the end of it, it felt like I had this cohesive kind of narrative that I made up the entire time, because I would go to one place, I'd overhear something, I would talk to that person, which is amazing that you can just go up and be like, so what was that problem?
Right.
Like where you ran into that person, where'd they go? And like, I was following those breadcrumbs, but it doesn't feel as explicit as in a lot of a lot of games where it's like, okay, here's your objective. This is the place. Go to it. Like, it felt like I was figuring it out and kind of finding my paths through this area in a way that felt really organic. And that was exciting. It felt like I had agency there.
Love that so much.
Is there a single shred of doubt in your mind, Jeffem, that this is the best Bond game ever made already?
I mean, they would have to really screw it up.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably, I mean, in my mind, I'm comparing it to GoldenEye because that's the one that was always the best anyway. Like the ones that came after just weren't that good to begin with. But like,
well, I hear people screaming about everything or nothing, and there's Nightfire fans out there, Bloodstone fans. They're out there, Jeffem. They're out there.
GoldenEye not being that good.
They're out there as well.
There's a lot of screaming right now.
It is true as well. Fair enough. But like, I have just been, the thing that has most surprised me is how much I am enjoying it as James Bond fiction in a way that like the last couple movies don't really care as much. Like Casino Royale was really cool to see this different take, but like this feels like classic Bond, but it feels like they have really put in the effort to tell an interesting story, to tell, like, as soon as I started playing it, I had to Google of like, have we never seen James Bond's backstory before? And like, the best I could come up with was, well, there was a black and white scene at the beginning of Casino Royale that showed how he got his numbers, but he was already an agent at that. Like, this is interesting fiction from a Bond standpoint, which I never thought I would see or care about. And like, it's just been really surprising.
Yeah, and it's funny that this game came out in the context of like MGM not knowing what the hell to do with the Bond franchise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like here was like an answer that's pretty good about like how you kind of rework Bond and like modernize him, and also introduce like a supporting cast that actually feels relevant throughout the entire experience so far.
For sure. And you know that when they announced the eventual cast of the new Bond movie, that there's going to be the gaming snobs now in the comments be like, I think the cast from the game was actually better. Because it's true, like, I'm not a huge Bond guy, but it's like, I cared about meeting M for the first time. Like, they built it up in such a good way where I'm like, I am on the edge of my seat whenever she's talking.
And it's an interesting take on her.
Yes. Yeah. Hey,
and she also kind of wants to have sex with him.
Well, of course. She's only human, Leo Vader. Have you seen that scar?
I do like that there's the secretary of Hansby, I think her name is, that every time you walk out of that office, she just finds a new way to scold your ass. Where she's just shouldn't you be doing something else? And you're like, yeah, I guess I am.
And you meet her first, and she's an old white woman, and you go, so M's about to be a new demographic. Mm-hmm. Let's see where they're going.
So the stuff that's on First Light, believe it or not, there's a lot to talk about. Seems like a good talker, that right blend of like plenty of story talk and a mountain of gameplay talk for the deepest dive, 3-part game club discussion. This is the mere tip of the iceberg, everybody. This mountain is the tip of the iceberg. So if you get any support us on Patreon, you can unlock the ability to submit comments for us to read and also unlock the podcast version. Otherwise, that'll be trickling out throughout June. And the first episode is going to drop on our YouTube channel publicly and in that bonus podcast feed on June 2nd here. So look forward to that coming up real soon. Submit a comment, make it even better.
And I am hosting it. Ben's better at saying all the important stuff you need to know, but it's me who'll be hosting it.
That's right. Yeah, get a real expert in there, so it should be a fun time. Bond goes to a lot of places in this game, but Leo Vader, one place this Bond can't go? Hell, because our Bond lives forever. Just like the state of Iowa, everybody, with Pocahontas County, Iowa. They want you to know that you can come discover Pocahontas County, Iowa. This is a real ad. Isn't this lovely? Isn't this the best type of ad read on the podcast? In addition to the 11 gorgeous giant kaleidoscopes located throughout the county parks in Pocahontas County, Iowa, and communities, there are fun historical sites to see, such as the Straight Story Building in Lorenz, right by the County Historical Museum, or perhaps browse a fun shop such as the Card Farmers and Trading Card Collectors, a themed hobby shop for sports, and of course, the shop that gave Pocahontas County its identity, the Kaleidoscope Factory. Each of the 8-foot-tall kaleidoscopes throughout the county are interactive and create remarkable designs and colors when looking through them. Grab some ice cream from Highway 7 Cafe or the Udder Cow to beat the heat and enjoy the best day on a Midwest U.S. road trip this summer in Pocahontas County, Iowa. Visit www.discoverpoco.com to start planning your trip. That's www.discoverpoco.com. Take note, it is really hard not to smile when you're looking through a kaleidoscope. Is what the ad copy says? I have no evidence of that. Unless Pocahontas County, Iowa shipped me 2 miniature replicas of some of their giant kaleidoscopes.
Oh my
so
God.
I've been known to frown, and let me put this to a certain test. Spin these.
Oh, tilted
Oh my God, he's
He's
smiling
trying to
for the
stop
first
himself from
time.
smiling, but he can't.
Thank you. Discover Pocahontas County, Iowa. Everybody follow the link in the description. Show them some love. And by the way, we got kaleidoscopes coming up as charity auction items this year. So look
Nice.
alive
Yeah.
thanks to them as well.
I missed that's the Straight Story building. They filmed the Straight Story there, the David Lynch movie that I watched recently and gave 5 stars because it was incredible.
Wow, it's a big Disney film. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Leo Vader, thank you for joining us. I know you got to clap out to prepare for this deepest dive and all this stuff. Before you go, I want to give you credit for your latest video on Leo Vader's YouTube channel called The Guide to People.
Thank you.
It's very good and ambitious. And it is the type of thing that I don't think very many people would feel comfortable tackling. I'm just like, I'm going to share my thoughts on humanity in a long form video. I think.
Yeah, it's basically a new episode of How To with John Wilson.
Right.
Thank you.
But I feel like if anybody else did that, if 99.9% of people did that, it'd be the most pretentious, unwatchable stuff in the world. So the fact that you can feel this urge of like, I just want to talk about people for the love of God. How weird is this situation that we're in right now as a society? And it not come across as preachy but fun is a miracle. So congratulations, dude.
Thank you. It was fun to come up with like a wrapping where it made sense to go from like the absolute basics of how people are,
Right.
or how I consider people to be. Start really like baby kindergarten intro to people, you know?
Yeah, literally talking to a baby. So check that out on Leo Vader's YouTube channel. All right, Leo, you want to clap out of here, dude?
Yeah.
Kyle Hilliard, welcome to the show.
Hello, how's it going?
Good. Do you remember Surreal Vasquez?
Surreal Vasquez. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
We worked together. I miss you, Surreal. What's up?
Yeah, how's it going, man? I've missed you all.
Do you? Yeah, it's good. Do you think about the Vasquez character a lot from Aliens? Was that exciting? When
I had the same last name.
Yeah,
as
is that
the
thrill?
one character in Aliens. I mean, it is usually like a point at the screen kind of thing. I wouldn't say I was excited, but I was like, hey, same name, you know. Do you
Ben,
do that when someone is called Hanson?
Oh, I lose my freaking mind. I
Do you
jump up
think
and
about
down on
the
the
band
couch.
a lot?
I think about the
Mbop?
band almost every day. No, I think I don't think the band is coming up too much anymore, you guys. I think we might just be old weirdos. Like maybe
People
3
people
years
don't
ago.
say it when they see your name and they're like Ben Hansen. Oh, like the
Maybe the last time was
Mbop?
maybe like 4 years ago at like a doctor's office or something, right? So I was like, oh, Hanson, Mbop. But like, I think it's dying out. I think the Hanson fans are a
Oh no,
dwindling
Hanson
breed.
relevancy is at an all-time low.
Sorry, it's a bad name, not my fault. Hey, you know what's damn exciting is Mina the Hollower. We talked about it for like the preview embargo a while ago when that lifted, and now the full review embargo has lifted. This thing is out on May 29th on everything known to man except for the frickin' Playdate. The new game from the creators of Shovel Knight, Yacht Club Games. Now, Kyle, last we checked in, your take was like, oh, this is more Soulsy than I thought it was, even though it's a very Game Boy Color-inspired visual palette. And now that you finished the game, give us final conclusions about Mina the Hollower, dude.
It's great. I really liked it a lot. I think the Dark Souls comparison continues to be apt. I think the thing that shocked me after playing it for like a long period of time is how little rather the puzzles rely on like equipment, if that makes sense.
So it's
Like,
not Zelda
almost-
in that way.
Yeah, almost every, with like a few asterisks, like a very few, like maybe like 2 or 3, you can solve every puzzle in the world with like the starting equipment.
That's
And it's like, it
exciting.
was a weird journey because like so often I was like, oh, I'll go back to that thing later. I must need something, only to sort of return to it hours later and be like, oh, I can do this. I don't need anything else, you know? And like I was having that experience all the time, and it was really wonderful. I really like Mina a lot. For Game Informer, I gave it an 8.75.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games that I beat and like did not stop playing. Like I beat, wrote the review, and immediately booted up my save file and was like, I'm going to try to get everything in here. So yeah, I like it.
So it's not like a matter of new game plus in it. It's just
No,
still exploring.
New Game Plus is really odd actually because it's more of like randomized. It's kind of hard.
It's an item randomizer, right?
Yeah, I don't even really fully understand it. I didn't dig into it very much, but it's unique in that way. Like in that it's like, yeah, you can. It gives you weird modifiers and like it gives you weird equipment and stuff like that, which is kind of cool and different. But I just I love it as like a base, world that you can explore and try to get 100% in. And there's puzzles everywhere, and there's characters are all fun, and the dialogue is interesting, and even the story like kind of snuck up on me in a way that I really like the ending a lot. Which Shovel Knight kind of had the same thing, where it's like there's wealth inequality and politics and environmentalism and like all these things are sort of in here. Oh, don't hold your nose, Ben. But they do it all without like going crazy with the dialogue or like you never have walls of text. There's like ways that it really acknowledges the player actions in a really fun way that's like makes you feel like you're involved in like public perception of who Mina is and stuff like that. It's really good. I really like Mina a lot. It's a good game.
Nice. And the end. No, Serial, you were eager to jump into this, loving From Software stuff, loving Zelda. I'm curious, how's it sitting with you?
Yeah, I had a similar experience as Kyle in that I think at first it felt more Souls-like than Zelda. And for a while, I was like, I don't know if like this feels like a From game kind of wearing a Zelda skin, because I think because of my age and where I was, I think like Ocarina was my first Zelda, and then I played Majora. So like a lot of my early Zelda years are wrapped up in like the two Game Boy Color games, where it's like these are the first, because like Majora's Mask kind of came out and I was like I didn't even know, like I wasn't in a position where it's like, there's going to be a Zelda sequel. Like I wasn't like previewing games or understanding games as like things that are about to happen, and more so like, oh, they released a new Zelda and it's at the store, and that's when I started engaging with those games. But like I think these were like the first ones that are like, I've heard of these, but they're not out. So it was like I was looking at screenshots, I was kind of anticipating them, and then playing them was like, okay, this is like more of a cultural experience, even if the 3D games were more impactful. So like I have a lot of nostalgia for those two games specifically. And this, I think playing it definitely felt like they are hitting that nostalgia, but like there's something at odds with it. And a lot of it is that Souls-like stuff where there isn't a lot of like what Kyle said of a come back later kind of thing, where it's like you're going back and forth between different worlds. And like, okay, now that I have this thing, I can go and kind of break this area wide open. It's more, you can kind of solve most things as you're running by them the first time if you have keys, which is like keys are like the big thing in this game, where instead of like, oh, this tool now allows me to like, grappling hook to across gaps, it's more so that like you're jumping. But I think once I kind of came to terms with it not being like a one-for-one like recreation of those games, I actually I fell in love with it, because that same feeling of you can just solve things as you go. It makes it very easy to just say you're going to progress until you find one more thing, and then in the screen where you find one more thing, there's another thing, and it's like you're going off on all these different tangents all the time. And I've been like, it's the game I've been thinking about when I'm not playing it right now.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I was doing that a lot. Yeah. And it's also like a game where like the rewards, the currency is like really valuable, because like the upgrades that you can buy are like substantial. And like I had fun just like farming bones for a while, because I wanted to like, go to the store and buy the best stuff. And it's like that was like a fun experience,
Yeah. Jeff, I feel like you were surprised how much it was kicking your butt last time we talked about it. Like, what's your continuing evolution here?
Yeah, there were moments where I was questioning whether I hate it or not.
Yeah.
And I still had a few of those moments. I'm fully over into the I love it now camp, and it like probably around 10 hours or so, like the game really split wide open in terms of I really prioritized getting slots for trinkets, which are like each one is a unique kind of passive buff and sometimes active buff, and they all do different things. So like I could get 5 of those, and like mixing and matching those really changed a lot. And then I found the twin blades, which is one of the starting weapons that you could have started with, but I went with the whip like a moron, And then as soon as I found those and I changed to that, it was like, oh, wait, no, the combat is actually really fun now and not as hard, because being able to do a bunch of really fast successive attacks, like you can spam your way through a lot of things, but even if you're not, you refill up the meter that you need to fill up by doing attacks in order to heal yourself that amount. Like that was what was really wrecking me with the whip, was just like it's so slow that it, even if I got through a fight, you know, I'd be able to like heal this much if I used one of my vials. And now with the twin blades, which I also upgraded, like it is so much better. And also just a lot of the other upgrades. Kyle is right that like the rewards in this game feel so good, especially in contrast to Zelda games, which have never really been great. And especially the last, you know, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it's like every chest that you open basically feels worthless. Here, even if you're just getting bones as a reward for something, there are so many things to spend those on. You know, including just upgrading yourself, but also all the different trinkets that you can buy, all the power-ups for your weapons and your health and all those things that like you're never for a lack of stuff to spend on in this. And then you also just find random trinkets and sometimes the random main upgrades where it's like, wow, I just got a free level of attack power now from this random, you know, like secret that I found that was there the entire time that I assumed you couldn't get into, but then I like figured this thing out. Like all of that is just so rewarding. And like boss fights, super cool, super fun. The different areas that you're going to are not only themed, but also have their own unique mechanisms that you're using to travel around. And that adds another layer of like, okay, well, how does this factor into different puzzles? Yeah, it's all just been great.
I will say that one of the biggest differences is the combat. And I will say I had the exact opposite experience as you, Jeff, and where like I chose the dual swords at the beginning, and I was like miserable. I wanted the chain from the get go, and then I think it's also one of those games where, like Souls games, it is the hardest at the beginning because you have the least tools, and like you're kind of still getting used to like how does this game kind of use the Zelda stuff to kind of pace combat. And it's definitely more like a Souls game where it's like they have these very obvious patterns, but it's like, you know, you're going to get caught up with like, I'm investing too many attacks before they get up or whatever. But now I'm in a position where it's like, yeah, I have all these modifiers where like I have basically an insect that comes out anytime I get hit and it buffs me so that my chain is super, super fast.
What?
And I have a thing that also like the whip now also, if you hit it with the tip, it does more damage, and there's a chance I have a trinket that also triggers a lightning bolt every so often when I get a hit. So it's like I'm just doing tons of damage to the point where it's like you can just tank, like they're hitting me, I'm hitting them at the same time, and I'm just like getting in more hits. So it becomes really, and like all of that feels like I earned all of those upgrades where it's like I've made individual decisions, and it's not just the case where it's like, oh, I couldn't beat this boss, so I went out and killed a bunch of enemies until I leveled up, and now I'm like killing this thing. You can kind of do that, but all of those upgrades definitely feel like discoveries that happen out in the world, and it's like it's very good at giving you those individual like I'm gonna hit something and it's gonna find you can always break a wall. You don't need bombs or anything. You can just like hit walls and they'll explode and there's stuff there, right?
Yeah.
So like the world opening up the way it does, where it's like initially it feels like you're just kind of doing a hub and spoke thing, but later on, like there are areas that connect to other areas and like this huge giant world that you don't have a map for, as far as I've found. I think I actually like that because it feels like just dedicate yourself to exploring this one area for now, and then eventually you'll find a way that one area links up to the rest of the world.
It just makes you pay attention that much more of like,
I'm kind of this close to finding a thing, and just like I was like, should I make like a map of my own where it's like I can pinpoint things and okay, two screens this way. There's the thing that I don't know how to get. I'll come back to it later. And so like figuring out this you will sometimes find a tunnel and you connect back to the other side of a puzzle where it's like, oh, I'm supposed to approach this puzzle backwards, right? And it does that so well of like having all these loose threads that you eventually come around from in ways that you wouldn't predict.
Yeah. There is no map, because last time I said I
Yeah.
said something along those lines. I think there
In
is
the manual.
So,
Yeah.
there is like a map, like you can put in your underground, your save spots. You can get a map in there that like just shows you sort of an artistic rendering of the world, but it does a thing that I love where it's like, yeah, the ice area in the top right corner, you're missing like a diamond and a trinket there.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like
Okay.
Kind of
I
Resident Evil.
freaking
Okay.
love that, and that's like the reason why I was so eager to jump back in, because it was like I know at least where to go to find all the things I'm missing, and it's like I ultimately don't need a like a proper map to let me explore, but just having a list of exactly what location things are in, and then like giving me an excuse to go back and explore. I love that. Like that's the reason that I want to go try to find everything.
And to what Kyle was saying earlier about you don't need the kind of weapons or the additional weapons that you find. You don't need them, but they can definitely help. So there are things that can double as like a traversal thing, where you get like one of your pieces of equipment is basically like a motorcycle or a bicycle actually.
Yeah.
That you can use to go faster, but if you jump with it, it'll like take you farther. One of them helps you float in the air. One of them gives you like what's basically an air dash, and you don't need them to solve puzzles, but they feel really cool in that most of them have these dual purposes of like they will do this one thing, but they can also help you traverse in some way, or like some of them are just like passive buffs where you can just summon a ghost to fight with you. And so all of those feel really cool to find them and kind of like, invest in them and stuff. But the other thing is that you have this burrow ability, which I think ends up being really crucial for both traversal and combat, where you can use it to kind of cross gaps you wouldn't otherwise, but it basically becomes instrumental in how you dodge certain attacks. And I think like that and the way the different weapons work and the passive abilities definitely layer onto the baseline Zelda 2D combat, which I think it's not that it's bad. It's just very simple, I think, in most of those games. And this does a lot of very clever things to add layers to it that actually make it feel like, okay, this is like not just a coincident, like a consequential thing of there has to be combat in this game. And it feels like this game is really about its combat as much as it is like the traversal and discovery stuff. And I think that is kind of, to me, it bringing all of those elements together is kind of where the magic is. And where it has, because at first I thought, I don't think this is an action game with some light puzzle solving, but now like hours later, yeah, there's definitely a lot of like, this world is kind of this big interconnected puzzle that you're kind of breaking apart slowly. And the combat is also good, which is kind of tends to be a weakness in 2D Zeldas.
Something we talked about in the preview phase was sort of an uncertainty on whether certain aspects of the Souls formula, specifically the losing your bones, felt like it was a strong component of the game or just kind of like a choice they happened to make. Now that y'all are like further through, like especially you, Kyle, who's finished it, like how did that end up ultimately landing? I get that the pain eases up as you go on, as Jeff mentioned, but does it feel like it ends up earning that, or is that still just like, they decided to do it and I could take it or leave it?
It's very intentional, and I mean it's like a basic sort of feedback, but it's like it is what is so charming about the system in Dark Souls, in that it's like when you're making a lot of progress and you have a lot of souls that you're scared to lose, it makes it all the more intense, and you start being more careful, and it's like exciting and scary. That is totally effective here, but it is also not as intense as Dark Souls as because you can get like I forget what they're called, but like you
Sparks.
get like
Super Bone or something. I forgot
you
it's
can
called.
get like
You
up
can
to
say
like
Super
4
Bone.
sparks, so that like you basically have up to like 4 tries to recover those bones.
Yeah, and
so
there's
it's
also
a little softer. Like it's not quite as hard on you, but it's like in those early hours where I was like deep into like the second dungeon, and I was just a little short of like getting an upgrade. It's like, or I could leave and go back home and like buy some stuff. I just got to make it to the next checkpoint, but there's like 3 enemies in there. Like that stuff is intense and fun.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason a lot of people are borrowing that mechanic. It's because it's like it raises the stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can also mitigate it a lot because one of your upgrades that you get is basically to buy a gem that is worth those amount of souls. So you can basically like, instead of upgrading my attack, I can basically bank these, however many souls so that they're permanent and I don't lose those on death anymore. So they do a lot of like things where, okay, I'm at 4,000, I need 4,200 to level up. Do I go and convert some of my permanent bones into regular bones so that I can level up, or do I try to level up a little bit and then bank those souls so I don't lose them during the boss? So there's a lot of ways that it's another way that it starts really hard, but then you learn to mitigate a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, one of the trinkets that you get also is you revive the first time you die, and so like you really have 8 times to get to like it, and you don't even need to get back to your body in order. You keep the bones the entire time until you've lost that final one, and you've also died after that revive. So it is really easy to like. I will play through a level, and if I lose a couple orbs along the way, it's like, yeah, whatever. I'm not worried about it. If I have a giant amount towards the end and I'm kind of in a scary territory, it's like, well, I'll go back. I've unlocked like 10 shortcuts on the way here. It's not a big deal to go buy, like spend these on whatever I still have to buy, and then make my way back afterwards. So yeah, it really gets mitigated pretty quickly once you start getting the upgrades and extra sparks.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, Kyle, living up to Shovel Knight standards in your mind?
I like this more than Shovel Knight. And I mean, the main reason that I didn't sort of crest into that 9 zone in my review is I didn't feel as strongly about the combat as like maybe Surreal does.
Yeah.
I, throughout the whole game, would get frustrated with how often you just fall off a ledge. Like, it's just like it's not like an engaging, like, danger to just be like, I fell off and I lost some health and now I'm just popping back over here. And like jumping is always a little finicky from that perspective. And then like as much as I love 2D Zelda, it's just like it's never been I don't really like fighting in that way. Mina does it great. Like, it's super solid. It's like, it's good, but it's just like, it's always going to be kind of a thing where it's like, it's just annoying. It's like, I'm just trying to get over there, man. And like, your main attack is just knocking me into a hole, and there are holes everywhere, But
yeah, there's a lot of open arenas. A lot of like those little tangents are often just like these platforming challenges, and it feels like they play pretty loose with where you come back after you fall into a pit, where sometimes it's at like all the way at the beginning of that screen, and sometimes it's midway through. So you're never really sure like what the stakes are for platforming in this one part of the map. But yeah, I don't think it's like an incredible combat system, but I feel like it's iterating on Zelda like 2D combat in ways that I think are appropriate for kind of where we're at with action games.
It's better combat than 2D Zelda. Like,
I would hope so. I would hope so.
Yeah.
And the burrowing just feels so unbelievably fast and launching you around
cool.
that like it is a cool new take on dodging, I guess, just to be able to quickly duck underground and whatnot. I know Jacob Geller, he posted on Blue Sky that he's digging it and it's kind of consuming his brain as well. It's nice that like a game that's like could be seen as just like retro looking thing. All right, cool. That it's like burrowing, no pun intended, like into people's brains. That like you are thinking about it that much. That the world and the systems are that complex. That's pretty sweet.
It's a harder sell than I think Silksong had coming out, which also looks gorgeous and is just like we knew that one was going to blow up. This one, it's like the I love the retro stuff, but that becomes a hurdle for a lot of gamers in order like that can just as easily be a con as it is a pro for a lot of people, and I like that it's kind of breaking through that.
And to what we said earlier, I do think that this game may kind of, the first impression of it may be kind of weird for some people, but I would say like stick with it if you like Zelda, if you like Dark Souls, like definitely like kind of get through that first intro section, because the first hour or two definitely felt like, is this more Castlevania than it is Zelda? Because it felt very linear. It was like very much like, okay, you break handles and things fall out of them. And that's kind of where you're getting your resources. I was waiting.
Sounds like a great time. Yeah, exactly.
That's gaming, Janet. We're in it.
But I think if because I didn't see a ton of marketing. I just said, okay, the Shovel Knight people are making a Zelda game. Cool. I'll buy it when it launches.
Of course,
I wasn't necessarily prepared for like all the differences from the get-go. But if you're having a rough time with it early on, I would definitely say like stick with it. It becomes the game that you thought it was. It just takes a little longer than you might expect to get there.
Funky. Mina the Hollower, everybody. Curious to hear more people's thoughts where the thing ultimately is going to land for everybody's enthusiasm, but hats off. They pulled it out. They got the thing out the door. Okay. Lego Batman. Legacy of the Dark Knight. I'm curious for everybody's thoughts. Kyle, as a gigantic Batman fan And Janet specifically, as the world's biggest Batman Begins fan, I was thinking about like
And
you
Dark
too.
Knight.
And Dark Knight. Oh, of course. But I feel like you've referenced Batman Begins 5 times as much as you've referenced Dark Knight. Which
I
is,
have to because no one else would do it.
Exactly.
So you know what I mean? Like we gotta like add a little spice into
That's
things.
right. You got it. And so this is the new Batman game. We talked about it a little bit last week on Bonus Pod, but the Lego game that's just like ambitious as hell. The easy takeaway is like they kind of made a Lego Arkham game. It's ambitious. If you want like a simplified open world Arkham game, that is kind of what they're working with here with Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. But I am having the best damn time with this game. Like playing it on Steam Deck, I'm having an absolute blast. And I'm just in awe of just the leaps that TT Games has made. You know, you can compare like the just design of this game, the cutscenes, the puzzle design, everything from like Lego Batman 1, 2, and 3 to this. It is truly night and day. Like it just feels like that team is firing on all cylinders now. Like after Skywalker Saga, which is like, hey, that was good. And then this is even like a better version of the improvements they made. And now with Arkham Combat and a bunch of Batman jokes, like it's really sinking its teeth into me in a big way. But Kyle, I'm curious.
Wait, hold on.
Yes, please.
Is this not the first Lego Batman game?
No.
Is it called Lego Batman, or what's the name of this game?
Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight.
Right.
Okay, so there have been 3 Batman games. before
Lego
this.
Batman games, but yeah, those are separate
I had no
entities.
idea.
Remember the last one was like Heroes versus Villains, and Greg Miller
I
was in it.
don't
and
at
all that
all.
stuff.
Yeah,
Lego
clearly
Batman
you
2
don't.
is like I played through Lego Batman 2 and like the gameplay was old school Lego sensibilities. Like it was absolutely adequate, but like the script was really funny. And to have like some solid gameplay now and with a funny script and funny cutscenes, it's like this is everything I want for a silly game.
Does it continue from those games, or is this like a soft reboot of that whole?
It's
series?
reboot, baby. I guess. I mean, but
Okay.
it's all pretty loosey goosey. But like the weird
It's
thing is like
Batman,
those were
yeah.
like, you know, pulling from the old movies in a big way. But this is the first time that they've like incorporated the Nolan movies, and then they have the Robert Pattinson movie. So they have like a bunch of new fuel to kind of give them a creative spark. And it's so nice that they are now trying to weave all that stuff together. And that's like, I think the most fun thing, just as a Batman fan, is like, how are they going to combine all these stories? Like, okay, we start here with Batman Begins, then that goes into the Robert Pattinson, the Batman. Like, Kyle, I assume that's what you're kind of getting into as well. It's just like the puzzle of making this timeline make sense from different directors.
Well, it's funny because like the movies have always been sort of a montage of moments from the comic books, right? Taken out of context.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Like they're like, I like this element of Year One. I like this element of Dark Knight Returns and stuff like that. And they pick and pull like little things. And then it's so funny to like now going to the video game where they're doing that with the movies.
Right.
In a way where they're like, we're picking and like just pulling the things that we kind of like from specific movies that just happen to, you know, be part of the story that we want to tell, which, you know, you'll be shocked to learn is the story of Batman. You know, like, yeah, I mean that part I'm really enjoying, but like I don't know, man. There's something about Lego games that like it's like too simple or something. It's my wife and I, we played together, which is like uncharacteristic of Up. I was like I made it like let's like set aside time to do this, play Batman with me, and it was just like we were just kind of, I don't know, maybe it's just that we like don't mesh with the genre well or something, but we were just like, it just felt like I was just like punching a bunch of dudes, and I wasn't feeling challenged at all really, and it's like I just get kind of bored with it, even though like the cutscenes were making me giggle and stuff like that. And it was funny playing with my wife because you play as Kid Bruce in the beginning, and you like literally walk through the garden with your parents. There's a rainbow. And she was just like, she was already sort of like pre-devastated of just like, they're really going to make me like see his perfect life. Like I have to go through this. I can't just go be Batman. I have to experience this again.
And it's so good because literally he's like skipping through the garden with his
silly.
parents and he's going, I love my mom and dad. Like just laying it on as thick as possible. It's amazing.
I did
all
appreciate
that said, like I think I'm going to like go in by myself and like bump up the difficulty.
Yeah, of course you should.
And like,
yes.
and then like just appreciate it for like, those films that I love. I love all those films for different reasons. And but yeah, if there's any Lego game that's going to get me in the door, it's going to be this one. Like this is the one that I'll return to because I've really most of my other Lego experiences have been like, this isn't for me. I'm going to back out here.
It's weird to be like, they've turned a whole new page. Look, it's slightly more complex now. It's much better to play. It's still not up to Kyle Hilliard standards. I understand you're a sophisticated gentleman, but like bump up that difficulty.
I demand so much. I guess because it looks like an action game and it feels like I'm walking around to solve puzzles, and then it's like barely a puzzle and barely an action game. It's like if maybe that's where the sort of thing is happening.
Does it look like an action game or does it look like a kid's game, Kyle?
It looks like an action game because enemies are like coming at you and you're like fighting enemies.
You parry.
Yeah, like
that's an action game if I've ever seen one.
It's Arkham Combat.
But I mean,
They're also Lego people, though.
I mean,
a lot of things kind of look like kids' games.
With kids' games, I love. I mean,
you know what I mean?
We'll talk about Yoshi here in a minute. Like, I love a charming ass game, and there's like, I don't know why it's just like there's a disconnect for me with Lego, where it just doesn't. I just want more from it, and I don't know why I apply that to Lego. Like, I don't know why it deserves that. Maybe it's all me.
Well,
it's
what's
me.
more
It's my
funny
problem.
is that you keep. It's what's more funny, Kyle, is that you keep playing them. That's the funny part because you already know what's going to happen. But because you've told the story a couple times on the podcast as different Lego games have come out.
Yeah.
I went into this like really excited because I remember playing Lego City Undercover and enjoying what I played of that a lot.
So good.
But I didn't end up finishing that. I came to that late and then just kind of it was like, oh, we had one good afternoon and then we just never played it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played the Lego Horizon game, which is funny. Playing this, I was like, they really did that Lego Horizon game dirty because it was all level based. Like they could have made it more open. Anyway, Lego Horizon happened, and
I think there's a big distinction between TT games and then the other Lego games. And Lego games have been branching out. So TT games had no involvement in the Lego Horizon game. It's a whole different field, and I feel like TT games is trying to rise to the competition of the Lego franchise being out there amongst other teams and stuff. But anyway, sorry, Janet, go on.
What's up with that? Is that which you don't have to get the whole story, but is it? Why is it across Are they related though in some way, like the different teams?
I mean, in that they
like
work with the
sub-teams within?
Lego brand. I'm trying to think of like, I don't know, can
The
multiple
license,
people,
right? Like Lego something games is not. I mean, TT Games doesn't own it, so
right? And so they just had a lock. I mean, Warner Brothers just had that partnership. Maybe it was just like part of the deal was exclusive. It feels like up until, I don't know, what was it, 6 years ago or so? Like, and then it started to branch out. Other teams started to make Lego games, some of which have been quite good, And so it is an odd idea now. And also, TT Games is going through a big journey because their engine, they had their proprietary engine, and it was a dog's breakfast, as they'd say over there in merry old England, in Knutsford, where they developed these games, right?
is that good or bad?
Bad. And so
Okay.
like it took forever to build these games, and then they shifted to Unreal, and it led to a lot of pain and stress. And so there was a huge gap between the last game and then the Skywalker Saga. Remember how long it took for Skywalker Saga to come out? And that was them kind of getting up to speed on Unreal. And now with this, Legacy of the Dark Knight, it feels like, okay, they have a new rhythm. And Warner Brothers is like, I am so thankful for Warner Brothers for giving them the time and space and budget to pull off a game this ambitious. Like they know they could crank out another Lego Batman, whatever. But like to take this big of a swing, to include Rocksteady developers, there's like 20 Rocksteady developers in the credits for this, to presumably help it feel more like an Arkham game. Like I think that's so awesome that they're giving this the support that it needs.
So yeah, I was going to this pretty excited for it, and it's gotten like a bunch of critical acclaim as well. And I didn't feel it as much as I hoped I would. I'm
Damn it, all the
playing
hell.
for sure because I do think I'm really early. Like I'm still in that first, like I'm approaching like the second hour where like it hasn't even really opened up for me yet. I'm still kind of in the tutorial training. Ra's al Ghul, I just finished that section.
Yeah.
But it does. This like sounds so bad to say. It does kind of feel like this just kind of got the Batman bump where I'm like, I don't think the game's like that great. Like it kind of like what Kyle said. It feels like I enjoy. So for me, I enjoy it kind of in the moment to a degree, right? You have the combat. It is simple combat, but you can watch for the parry trigger. You can build up a meter.
Yeah.
I love the little animation they do for your special attack because it's just very cutesy and silly. It's like,
Gives him like a
Bruce
noogie
Wayne
or
pulls out like a
whatever.
teddy bear,
Yeah.
and then the guy like falls down. It's like, that's funny. There are some of the jokes that are quite amusing. Not all of them land for me because I do think I don't know, Lego humor is very like formulaic, but I really like when they kind of twist their own formula into like a surprising way. So like an example is you have to like go get the rare flower, on the mountain for Ra's al Ghul's temple. and there's a cart selling them, it turns out, and it's like, that's a little funny. But what was way funnier than that is the fact that he like buys the entire cart. I'm like, why would he buy the whole cart? Why would he not just buy the one he
Bruce
needed?
Wayne just kept throwing out
rich,
money.
yeah.
One that got me was Ra's al Ghul says, I have a particular set of skills.
Yes, of course.
And I was like, okay, so that's Liam Neeson played Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins, but he is also the guy from Taken. Is that? And I was like, I just got caught in this.
Yeah.
Weird, is that
They
the
do
joke?
They do that a couple times.
Yeah, I like it.
There's
Even,
a
like-
surprising one.
Yeah, like the police officer Montoya, when she's in the city, she made me laugh a lot. Where like you're playing as Gordon and then Batman. You run up to her, and if you go up to her as Batman, she just goes, "Sir, I'm not physically or mentally equipped to deal with whatever your situation is. Please leave while I wait for Gordon." And you have to like only talk to her as Gordon, because every time you run up as Batman, she's like, "I don't know what this is or who you are. Please walk away, sir." It's very satisfying.
Yeah, it's cute. But I was really looking forward to it, and then I played it, and I was playing with Isaiah, and I'm like, "What do you think?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm liking it. It's fun." And I'm like, I want to like it more, is kind of where I ended up in that one session. Like I'd been so looking forward to it, like, and then I just was like, damn, this wasn't as much fun as I hoped I would have. And this is a take that probably won't age well, because I'm sure the game will continue to build as I go.
Yeah.
But frankly, I kind of had more fun with the combat in Lego Horizon, because that was so trap based that at least it kind of gave me something else to do.
Sure.
Because I think what people forget is, and I haven't beaten the Arkham games, but like I've played a little bit of them, I want to go back and finish it, is that gameplay is awesome, but it is also very simplistic. So a more simple version of a simple combat formula is going to be really not that much to it. So I don't really feel that like, it's like Arkham, but it's in Lego. It's like, it technically is, but do I want that? I don't know that I personally do.
Well, I'm just curious to see.
In that tutorial, it was also maybe as an example, like it's teaching you how to do things, right? And it's like it gave me like 2 or 3 enemies. And I was like, got it. I was like, okay, we're gonna give you like 12 more. And I'm like, you don't need to do that. Like, I got it.
There was like when I was looking at the difficulty, like Charles Hart made a case for like he was playing on the hardest difficulty and really enjoying it. When I was looking at the options there, I was like, well, on the higher difficulties, it says they're going to throw more enemies at you. And I'm like, even in the Arkham games, I feel like I'm fighting too many guys. So like, I'm actually just going to play in the lowest difficulty just for like the fewest possible people and just kind of blast my way through this thing. But I've been loving it.
The idea of, making it more difficult and that's going to make it more fun, I think is maybe a flawed idea, because it is just, they'll add more enemies and you'll have like a certain number of lives that you can lose during a combat encounter, after which you're just going to have to redo that combat encounter. Like I don't think that's going to make it any more fun than kind of base combat is.
I guess I just want to be countering more and just being just required to do more. I
want that meter to fill up faster. Why are we being so stingy with the meter? Is the chart costing you something?
You gotta get the combos up. You gotta get the combos up and keep it rolling. It is. I'm curious to see like how it builds, how many more items, how much more complex the combat can get. Because like the thrill, of the Arkham games is just the amount of items that you get that you can kind of work in and learning new moves and stuff like that. And so I'm curious to see where that goes. But even like in the open world, it's like, okay, awesome to have the grapple hook to fly around here, but it's like, I do automatically miss that, like, I want the little double tap, like, ring, and being able to, like, glide and be launched off buildings, like in the Arkham games. So, like, just feeling that difference is notable, even if it is awesome to have an open world.
Are you the only one playing by yourself of the that are playing, Ben?
Could be, yeah.
Maybe that changes it a little bit, too.
You do unlock a gliding thing. I don't know if you've unlocked
I haven't yet, no.
Glide around. Yeah. That's coming, like a lot of those things. And Janet, for you, like you do get some more abilities that you can also use in combat. My kid really likes grabbing people with the not the batarang, but his grapple hook or whatever.
Yeah.
And then throwing them. He throws everybody into the pier, into the water.
Very funny.
Including Jim Gordon all the time. And I'm
good.
telling him, it's just mean. I went into this with not a lot of expectations, and I don't play a lot of Lego games because they kind of hew towards a simpler format. Obviously, with a kid, it's great. He's super excited about it. He knows enough about Batman. I appreciate that when we got to the Joker part in the origin story, they completely gloss over it, and you just kind of continue on. And now you're older, and he was like, where'd Dad go? And it's like, don't worry about it. You're Batman now. But yeah,
that's so
like
sad.
it is a. I don't want to say that it's a game for kids, but like it has been tuned to. It has been tuned to the point where a 5-year-old can play it, and he's getting through most of it, and he'll get stuck on some puzzles. And sometimes I'm very surprised and like proud that he can figure out a puzzle, and other times I'll like help him a little bit, and like that I think is the overriding experience that they're going for, and he's really enjoying it. I'm enjoying playing it with him. Otherwise, I'm in Janet and Kyle's camp where it's like I wouldn't be playing this by myself.
Yeah, I should point out I'm only enjoying it too because I'm also playing with Jeffem's kid. That's the only reason. It's not that
I'm like really like looking inward, and I'm like, I wonder why the reason I feel like I need to hold it to a higher standard is because it's been so long since Arkham Knight, and Gotham Knight was such a bummer. I didn't really play that one, but like, I really want another Arkham game, and they're like, this is kind of close, and I'm like, and maybe that's why I'm sort of not engaging with it, like not clicking with me, because I'm like, well, you're not quite it, you know?
You,
I don't know.
of all people, are embarrassing yourself. You just played Arkham Shadows. It was like 2024.
Oh, right. That is
VR.
That was so long ago, though.
I know.
But it was like, it was good, the VR game, right?
It was good. I actually really like Arkham Shadow a lot.
Tell your memory.
It is different. It's like VR game. I want a proper sit in front of the TV game, you know? So
sure.
I think sometimes with two people, the thing we're kind of running into, again, we're very early, is almost in combat. I think it's fine to have like not a gajillion enemies. Like I agree. I don't think upping the difficulty. I get that it works for Charles, and maybe I should give it a try before I knock it, but I do kind of want that breezy experience. Like, I think there is a joy in an easy video game. Like, not every video game needs to be like challenging to be engaging. Like, there are many ways to engage a player. I think one of my beefs with it, in just those early sections, maybe this eases up over time as it opens up, is that I like what I'm doing environmentally, but I don't feel like I have enough. I don't feel satisfied because it's like kind of only one of us can mostly get all of the stuff. And it's like, okay, well, I got everything in here. Okay, cool. Where's the rest of it? Oh, we're done. We're moving on to the next thing. Like, I kind of want a little bit more.
I don't know if
you
you're
want it to be
aware.
more
Maybe it's
involved
like
without it being more difficult, right?
Yeah, and since we're playing with two, it's like you only have half as much stuff to break or engage with because we're two capable people. So it's like, oh, we're done now, while it would be slower if it was just like one. So that's also maybe a little
Have you noticed that you punch the stuff and then a gazillion studs fly out and it feels good to collect them? Have you picked up on that basic satisfying element there?
I also kind of wish the collection range was a little wider. I'm sure you can upgrade that later. There's a skill tree that we are going to work on, and it's going to be the first thing we upgrade, assuming that it's in there. But yeah, like I hope that I knew, and I hate when I can feel it in a game where it's like, it feels like you're going to make this better later because it's not good now.
Well, sure. You're very early. I want to point out, you're basically in the tutorial.
I'm very early.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought I was going to be like ravenously eating this up, and maybe that's coming, but it just, I'm a little surprised that it hasn't.
Ben's comment about the bricks is like the first thing that reminded me that Lego is a franchise where you make things out of little bricks. Does this game have any like Lego-y aspects, or is it just like we made a Batman game that has a Lego skin?
You will get stuck on a puzzle, and then you have to bust a bunch of stuff up, and then it will say you have 2 of the 3 bricks that you need, and then you have to look all around the place to find the last thing that you have to break, and then it will say, okay, now you can build a gag that will be a joke, and then you'll go on to the next. Which the gags are funny, and my kid is thrilled every time he builds a giant drill to like drill through a floor in order to get past a door or whatever. Like it's cute stuff.
I agree. 10 out of 10. Yeah, it is weird. You're talking about like the murder scene. It was interesting because I was playing on my Steam Deck, and my nephew, who's like 12, was watching me play, and he was confused about what's happening in that scene. I'm like, oh, this is just like the scene where Batman's parents die. He's like, Batman's parents die? I was like, oh, weird. Like,
I guess you blew it.
You
they gave you an out.
Yeah, I guess
you could have said anything at that point.
You're 12. I didn't even handle a fictional death.
Yeah, he can absolutely handle it. And like watching the beads drop down. But I realized like, oh, it's so weird. I'm glad that's in there. Such a core component, I'd argue, for the character. Motivating factor slightly. But then also it's like, it's weird to be playing like a Batman game or experiencing Batman fiction and be rooting so hard for, I hope they show the parents die. And so when they actually, like, I've never wanted to see that before.
So I don't have to parent my child.
No, but just like,
on that, though,
it's so annoying in every other version of the story. But this one, I'm like, hell yeah.
It is something I was very curious on was it's fun to see what lines in the film they leave, what do they change, and how do they change it. Like I was surprised when they said like, it's your father's fault that your mother and father were killed. Like they left that in. I was like, you left that in? That is crazy to me because they didn't like, they also took out the, I wouldn't hesitate to like blow your brains out in front of these cops. Like they modified that line to say like, I don't know. I wouldn't hesitate to
blow your
something much
schnoz
softer.
off. I don't know what they're.
Or like, I don't know, to send the dog on you and it's like the pet dog he has. It's like I forgot what they wrote for it, but they did not have the, I wouldn't hesitate to blow your brains out, which is kind of fair, but I was hoping they'd, do like, I don't know, turn you into a bunch of Lego pieces or something. I wanted something a little more violent.
Block off, huh?
Yeah.
Video game.
A little knock your block off would have been that. You're Bruce Wayne. You're the Prince of Gotham. But yeah, so that is cute to see. There's more to be seen. I definitely will continue playing for sure.
Okay. All right. It seems like one that I just want to have my Steam Deck and jump back into again and again and keep kind of plucking away at. Jeff, I assume you're locked in if you want to keep spending time around your kid.
Yeah, he's
That's
locked
the only
in,
way.
So yep, it's
Hell yeah.
involuntary.
There we go.
And have you? I know I talk about it every couple of years. Probably Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Have you seen? Did you ever see?
Yeah. Loved it.
I just always think about the Bruce's parents getting killed scene in that movie.
Remind me, how do they do it in that movie?
Though they mess up time, right? So they have to go back in
Yeah.
time and reset things, and they like grab his parents and throw the pearls on the mom and shove them into the alley. And they're just like all smiles. They're like, "Yeah, we got to make sure Batman exists." Very funny movie.
From the directors of the Mario movies.
Yeah, much better movie than the Mario movies.
So I've been I was playing on Steam Deck for a while, and then last night I plugged into the TV, and Jeff, I got to use my new Steam controller, which I just got in the mail, which turns out you weren't lying. Feels good. Feels nice. But it's like the first time genuinely that I've had my Steam Deck plugged into the TV and it's not been a pain in the ass. Like normally if I have like some wired Xbox controllers, I was like, okay, I got to set this. And then on the Steam Deck itself, I got to make sure that it's selected the right thing. But just to like be able to plug that in, have it on the quick puck detachable. It's like, oh my God, wireless gaming on my TV. What a miracle in 2026 with this PC.
Yeah. And it's gotten much better for me. I was having difficulties with it on my computer, and it turns out I think just one of my USB ports is dead or something. And that was the one I had the puck built into it. And then I had been trying to pair it to the Steam Deck with a Bluetooth controller. And once I started using my dock and just plugging the puck in, it's been flawless, and I'm very, very happy with it. A lot of like. That was my biggest concern going into it, and I did have some stumbles with like, you should just be able to pair this thing, and it should just work. And since then, it does just work. So.
Oh, good. And so now you're more locked in than ever to buying the Steam Machine, even if the announcements today make it seem like the Steam Machine is going to be $83,000.
Hey, speaking of price, before we go on from Lego Batman,
oh please,
$75 for a Lego game.
What, 75? What kind of price is that? What are you talking about?
$69.99, and after you add tax, it's $75.
Who's adding tax? That's not fair. That's confusing.
That's so confusing.
Tax, you know?
Tax
69
money
is
doesn't
very
count.
reasonable. $69 is nothing. 75 though.
Well, it just gets confusing for because I think game prices are just all over the map. It's kind of like, where are we at these days? So it's like, wanted to make sure they weren't actually selling this thing for 75. But yeah, $70, that is certainly a lot. But then again, it's like, I think the scope of this Lego game compared to other ones, I mean, it seems big. Skywalker Saga is huge. I mean, I don't want to.
I'm sure it has a lot of content in it, but that
Can you
was
put a
that
price
was,
on spending time with your child, Jeff?
Yeah,
and if so, what price would you put it at? Like $40, right?
The thing is, if we weren't playing Lego, we'd be playing Yoshi or any of the other games that. Granted,
he'd be getting scammed in Roblox, you know.
Yoshi also ain't cheap.
Especially now they're doing the split, right? Where it's like physical version is coming in at 60, is that right? And then digital is 50 for Yoshi, or is it $10 north of that even? This is all in collaboration with the great heists happening in the world because Valve just announced that the Steam Deck prices have gone up. And there's obviously going to be a lot more of this when they announce the price of the next Xbox and the PlayStation 6. I think people are going to crap in their gaming chairs. But right now, Valve announced that, hey, the Steam Decks, the 1 terabyte model, it now needs to cost $949. It jumped up $300, and the 512 gigabyte version jumped over $200 from $549 to $789, and they got rid of the bottom SKU. So like when the Steam Deck launched, not that long ago, the lowest price was $399. Now the lowest price is $789. And
you asked us before we started, it's like, do you want to talk about this? And I was like, I don't know. It's just another price hike. I didn't realize it was hundreds of dollars.
It's insane.
It's been like
It's
50.
so
I didn't know that either.
much
Yeah.
money.
I think there was a brief moment where the refurbished ones were still at the old price.
Okay.
I think they
But now
might
they
still
bumped
even
those
be
up.
there.
I think the cheapest one now is if you buy a LCD, not an OLED ones. Those refurbished ones are still at their previous price.
Jump in if you can. I mean, I freaking love the Steam Deck, but it has gotten to the point of like,
You don't need that OLED
that's
screen.
absurd.
No,
you don't got eyes for it. You're not really gonna have the option.
I don't have
mean,
OLED
this
eyes
is,
yet. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, thank God I never looked at what the OLED looked like, so I can't miss it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like, literally, if I knew this was gonna happen, I probably would have just like bought one to potentially gift my brother at some point.
Yeah,
And now it feels like I don't even have the option to do that because it's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, like bordering $1,000, depending on what SKU you want to get. Yeah, it's incredibly unfortunate that the world is crumbling and it has caused tech prices to skyrocket. And it's weird to now be in the era where stuff is tech is going up in value. It's like, it feels insane because for the longest time, for all of time, early adoption has just been like what you want to do if you want to be there day one, but we all know that it's like early adopters are suckers. Like, you're going to pay the most for like a worst product that has like less software for it, especially if you're getting a console. I think a lot of us have done that, whether it's because of this career or because we were passionate enough to eventually enter this career kind of thing. I think it's fun to be day one, but I never recommend it to anybody.
Yep.
Now I feel like I'm exclusively going to be recommending it. Like, hey, if you want it, just get it now.
Yeah.
Because it's gone up in price. Like, we had I know some people that play much more casually. And one of my friends has a PS5, but only has like one game. And she's like, oh, maybe I'll get rid of it. It's like, do not get rid of your PS5. That thing is going to be worth $1,000 next year. Like, it will cost $1 million to get later. Like, it's crazy. And it sucks because it makes it so that, way less people can play games. It's already an expensive hobby. Many of us, even on this show, have talked about the limitations we had as kids on how much we might be able to have. And that's only going to get worse. I mean, people talk about where they want the next generation of gamers to be, besides the fact that most of them are on Roblox or Fortnite or whatever. Anyway, it's like, hello, what parent is going to buy this for a child? It's like this huge luxury product. Like, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it does strike me as this weird duality that's emerging where the price of everything is going up so people can afford fewer machines. And meanwhile, like, companies are still kind of trying to push technology further. So like with like James Bond, for example, like that, it feels like a very hardware pushing game. Yeah. But it's like there's this growing chasm, I think, between like what developers want to target for their development specs and what people are going to be able to afford in the future.
Yes.
Because there's obviously a need for like, hey, we want a PlayStation 5 Pro after PS5 was like sold as like, hey, it can run all the games at 60 frames, ray tracing, whatever. But like there are just going to be fewer machines out there. And then it like, because all of the, all of the reasons that those things are going up have to do with like, there's just infinite need for compute for like data centers and AI stuff. And that's where all of the hardware power is going for all the software people want to, push games as much as they can. And then it also dovetails with the idea of like everything now becoming an investment where it's like, oh, if you buy a Switch at launch, you could potentially sell it 2 years down the road for, whatever, how much more of its price. And that goes for like everything of like technology, like anything you buy is seen not as a thing that you buy to own, but as like a, like people buying multiple apartments and stuff, being landlords for like, hey, I don't live in this apartment building. I'm planning to sell it later. Or like everything is just, and for it to catch up to gaming of like, everything is an asset, everything is like an investment asset and not like a thing you own. I think it's coincidental. I don't think there's anyone saying like the reason we're raising the prices is so that people want to buy the console earlier, but it definitely feels like that's where everything is going. And now gaming has been caught up in that.
Yeah. I feel like we're so close to it just being, I guess it already is just laughable, but I do think like the reveal of the next consoles and those prices is genuinely where people just be like, are you fucking kidding me? There's no universe where I'm going to buy that.
It would be insane to announce a PlayStation 6 or the next Xbox and put a price tag on it at this point. Like, you have to be in a holding pattern. You like, generations are already, it's already so scary, I'm sure, for these companies to be like, we're going to invest all this R&D, we're going to make this thing, and then we have to convince people to buy it for it to be astronomically expensive now, when we all know like we're in this huge crunch, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it won't last forever.
Yeah.
Like to come out and say, hey, the next PS6 is going to cost $1,000. We have now primed you to think that 2 years from now we're going to do a PS6 Pro, but don't think about that now. Like, jump in, please, and buy this thing that will otherwise like bankrupt us if we make too many. Like, it would be insane. If I was Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo at this point, I'd be like, yeah, we're just going to wait right now. Please enjoy our games that we're coming out with right now.
But don't you worry that it's like waiting to be like, well, housing prices are pretty high right now. I'm going to wait until the housing prices go down a little before I buy. And then you look at the graph.
Whoa,
and it's like,
I don't like this kind of analogy.
That's kind of the thing, the weird mix-up that you're going to have whenever these consoles happen, where it's like, do I buy this now because the price of this is going to go up later, or is there going to be a hardware iteration later on that I'm maybe not even going to need? Because like that's basically what I did with the Steam Deck, where like it was announced and like I saw the specs or whatever, and I was like, you know what? I've bought like first day stuff all the time, and I always feel like with Nintendo products, especially, it's like the first iteration of the hardware is always the worst.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll wait on the Steam Deck, and I still don't have the Steam Deck, because I was like, I'll wait for the second generation Steam Deck. And I ended up getting like a secondhand like ROG one, not the Xbox one, like the original Ally one. I got a secondhand one of those, and I feel like, okay, I guess I'm okay until the next Steam Deck, but that feels like that's not going to happen for another 6 years, or like maybe I just sell that ROG for $1,200 in a year and a half or something. Like it's such a weird market now, and I don't think people who are growing up around this point in time and seeing like, oh, then my first next gen console is going to be the PS6, will have like no idea what that even means, of like what is a next gen console, when it's like, when developers are like, basically like, I think if you're making a game now and you're not like a major conglomerate, like you're basically saying I should target lower and lower specs for like, instead of predicting that things will go higher. So it's like, if they release a stronger machine in a market where everyone's trying to like target lower specs, what do you need the console for? And so like that chasm is just going to feel like that could have huge ramifications later on.
The improvements are so incremental now to begin with. Like it's not like the previous generations where it's like, okay, this is now literally twice as powerful. We can do 3D now. And even back then, like a bad console could bankrupt your company. Lots of companies went out of business making a console that people didn't buy or didn't buy enough of, or they exited like the tech altogether. Like that is like Microsoft or, Sony aren't going to go bankrupt if the next console doesn't sell, but Microsoft may pull out of gaming to begin with if it doesn't go well. And like, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony second guessed it too. It is such a dangerous time to be this deep into like super expensive tech that nobody has the chips to make in the first place.
And it's fascinating then that like Valve announced at the worst possible time. They're like, it's coming out soon. And then in the time when they're getting ready to launch the Steam Machine and their new VR headset, it's like prices have ballooned. So like, what are they going to do? Are they just going to be like, never mind, we're going to wait this out? Or I feel like they're kind of pot committed to being the ones that bite the bullet of announcing the Steam Machine is going to be $1,200 or whatever it needs to be. And the twisted part too is, Valve is not a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Are they publicly traded?
No, that's the thing. They're a private company, but they're not. What's the word I'm looking for? Company, like people that are good, like you do good, you donate to charity.
I had it and then it disappeared.
What is that word?
I had
Nonprofit?
it.
No, but
it's benevolent.
Benevolent. Thank you. It's not a purely benevolent organization, but they are like, a privately owned company. There's not public shareholders there saying gimme, gimme, gimme. And so like if Valve feels like a Steam Deck at $949 is what's doable, like they're going to err on the side, I think, of not having huge profits from all these things. And so if you look at a company that might be a slightly more greedy than Valve, who's raking in 30% of everything, that's where they get their greed. Like,
well, it's also, but them being private also allows them to say like, hey, by the way, we're not doing the Steam Machine anymore, without upsetting investors and saying like, hey, we bought your stock based on this announcement that you're now reneging on. So I think they can be like, I think it's more likely for Valve to say we're not making we're not making the Steam Machine after all, than for Xbox to say, hey, we're not making that Xbox anymore.
Right.
I mean, the fact that the biggest SKU for Steam Deck now is pushing $1,000 anyway does not bode well for what the Steam Machine is going to cost.
No, it's going to be ridiculous.
But Steam also, like, they are competing with the price of PCs more than consoles, I feel like. And so like they probably do have a higher ceiling of saying like, well, you drop $1,000 on a PC or more. So like, and we're giving you a PC in your living room. I would be more worried if I was PlayStation and I'm trying to figure out what the PS6 is going to cost. When people have it in their head that the PS5 cost $500, at least when it came out initially, like you're going to at least double that, if not triple it. Like where's what do you think people are going to pay for a console? I will just play a game on my old PC. I will buy it for $10. I'll buy Mina the Hollower and have a great time.
Right, exactly. And meanwhile, the most popular games in the world are Fortnite, which looks fine, and Roblox, which looks like garbage. Like it like there's not really strong of an incentive to make these like high, but like these ridiculously expensive games. And like meanwhile, like Saros and Pragmata, they both look fine. They run on PS5. Like, how much do you need a PS6 in the first place?
Looking up what is like a pre-built NZXT, like what's the range on like lowest to highest. I can't see it because there's none available.
Yeah, people are just scrambling.
So it's just like I don't even like it's. I mean, obviously there are bigger problems in the world, but at the same time, all these problems are connected, right? Like the way AI has been like negatively impacting our like society at a multitude of levels. Like this is like another reflection of that. But at least you can ask, ChatGPT what the weather's like today. I hope it was.
I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun going onto Reddit and figuring out how to turn off AI features. Like that's like a fun puzzle.
Oh yeah. Did you see the one about the typing in Windows 11 where it has like it's reading your keystrokes and using that to train AI? You can turn that off though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I found a new Google search that like I bookmarked it, so like it just bypasses all the AI stuff. Like that's my Google search now, and and that's like I like having those extra steps in my life. Like it just makes me keep
search for typing insights on your computer on Windows 11 and Windows 10 if you want to turn that off.
What are they possibly learning from my keystrokes?
How people
what
talk?
aren't they?
Everything.
Yeah. What kind of keystrokes people make, right? So they can predict like, hey, when you're making this
what a
keystrokes, what are you
podcaster's
type?
like.
Exactly. How to beat fights Lego Batman, Legacy of the Dark Knight.
But it is worth noting that, like, you talk about how, hey, Mina will run on just about anything. Just go ahead and get that on your old computer. That's going to be
worth noting. I played and beat Mina on my IEYN Thor. Like that's where I played Mina.
Which also costs more now.
Does the Game Informer
went up on that.
Which I'm also wondering, like, do I get another one?
Thor? Like, is that the thing where it's like I reviewed it on Thor, or like what did you put for that?
Oh, I just did PC. That was like the only option. Yeah, I guess I could add AY and Thor. Ran great on there. I thought it was awesome.
But it is $20. Like in the world of generosity in games, like they wanted to launch it at the same price as Hollow Knight, Silksong. And it's like, hey, this will work if we just want to get it out there. So I think we didn't mention it during the discussion, but it's like at least some games are trying to hit that mass audience with a cheaper price, even though the game took 6 years or so to develop. Like expensive game to develop it, even if it looks like a Game Boy Color game. But so lesson is pucker up, everybody. Every price tag announced for the next couple of years is going to scare the hell out of you. So get ready.
I do think that like it'll also have like longer term ramifications where if gaming does become like this very expensive luxury thing, then that kind of, I think, makes it less appealing to get into, as like if you're like, well, my parents just didn't buy me any consoles as a kid because they were way too expensive. So I never got into like, I'm an otherwise, like someone who would have become like a game developer or someone in our field or whatever, that they just never get that start because, gaming consoles and PC hardware is just like way out of reach, and you never start there.
We also lose like the hyper casual audience, which obviously we talk about this forever and how this is negative, but the people who do only play like 1 or 2 games, like I think a lot less of them are gonna like spend the money. I know it already seems ridiculous to spend $500 or $600 to play one video game, but like a good chunk of people do. I don't know if they're gonna spend $900, $1,000 to play one video game.
That's where Stadia comes in, everybody. That's the future. Don't buy the consoles.
We now go live to our Stadia correspondent.
It had some good.
What's going on with them?
It did.
It had a good idea behind it, but
I was bullish. I was bullish on Stadia because it's exactly the situation of like, I don't know, I have so many friends who like games, but like they're not going to buy a PS4 to play Red Dead 2.
Like,
but they all want to play Red Dead 2. Yeah, yep, I agree.
I believe Stranger Things style, you know.
Just like there's a good idea in Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, which by the way is $60 digital, $70, 70 bones for the physical version of Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. We talked about it a little bit last week with Kyle playing it, reviewing it over at Game Informer, but now more of us have jumped into this wonderful Mysterious Book. Jeff, from your kid review, loving Lego Batman, they were counting down the seconds until Yoshi opened that Mysterious Book. Are you digging this one as much?
He's been loving it as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you sound sad?
No, it's great.
You're like, I can't stand when this kid enjoys himself.
He's eating good. He's eating good nowadays. I'm still just playing Mina by myself, I guess.
He's usually eating good. I mean, you're in charge of that part of his life, so.
Yeah.
Sometimes the stuff doesn't taste good, though.
I've only been feeding him Yoshi the last 3 days.
Very healthy. The metaphor has gone on too long, guys.
Okay, sorry.
About it. Yeah, I put it in exactly the same bucket as Lego, where it's like, it is a cute game. He's having a lot of fun with it. Just kind of like, it is a game of figuring out little puzzles and little interactions. And that is a perfect activity for a 5-year-old. Some of the later worlds
figure a lot of it out, because I'm like, I was thinking I was playing. I'm like, how smart do you have to be as a kid or old to be able to do some of these things?
You know, it's a shotgun approach with kids. Like they will try everything and do everything that they can within their little confined level that they're in. And stuff's popping up all the time. Like it's not a lot of active puzzle solving going on. I think it's experimentation in a really
you're not
fun,
like you're not sitting on
way.
switches to like hit that door. It's like when we say puzzle, it's like
it's in a very reductive sense. It is like all video games in that it's like you just do stuff and get points, and then you move on to the next level.
I don't know that Do Re Mi puzzle. I'm like, I don't know how many kids can get that one.
You got to go back and forth. It's like, that is kind of the charm of
this. You got to watch Sound of Music. You know, it's complicated.
I mean, I was pretty skeptical about this game last week, Kyle. I had my nose in the air going, but it's a lukewarm bath. I don't know. And then jumping in and playing, it's like, I love Yoshi's Island enough. Like, there's enough in there. It's like the music got me. Seeing the seagulls, seeing the island got me. And then, like, the part that I'm still really interested in is like, it has a little of that Pokemon Snap flavor, right? Where it's like, here's just a level, and then you just like poke and nudge and like see what you can interact with, see what's unlocking new stuff. And that's pretty cool.
That's a good point of reference. It is, I like that Pokemon Snap.
Honestly, my point of reference is that like it was very, very light immersive sim, where it's like your point isn't to get to the end of the level, it's to like, it's like if like, you know, a Deus Ex said like the goal of this level is to figure out 5 like wacky interactions that you can do in the level.
Yes.
Right? Where it's like, open this like locked door or whatever, or like, you know, hack this thing, or like figure out if, you know, you can lure a guard over to like a computer and shock them or something. Like that's basically what the point of these levels are in a weird, I find this game very fascinating, by the way, in a weird way, where it's like, it's not like, it's the game's like the levels beginning and ending almost don't matter. It's just like, you just kind of do stuff. And then it's like, oh, you figure out this interaction. It's like, that just happened. I didn't figure anything out. I just happened to do that. And you're getting like, you know, points towards like some objective. And then at the end, it's just like, oh, the level just ended. And then you can go back and like look at, you know, different interactions. So it's like, oh, you can find this flower. If you can have it eat a fruit that turns it red. It being red doesn't do anything. But the game awards you by like, hey, you turned the flower red. That's cool, right?
Right.
And it's just like that for like multiple levels, where it's like every time you find a new creature, it's like, no, really dig into what all of the interactions we built for this creature are. versus like, hey, you can make bigger bubbles if you dip this creature into like honey or whatever, or like find kind of really interesting kind of levers and knobs to push around the level.
I haven't been frustrated yet. I know that's silly to
No,
say
yeah.
about a game that like doesn't have health or challenges in that way, but I expect it to be one of those things of like, okay, kind of beating my head against the wall, like, okay, I've flipped 3 of the 5 switches, what are the other things you need to do? But like, I think it's doing a pretty natural job. It's like, if you just tinker around, it'll be okay. I don't know later on, Jeff or Kyle, if it gets to be like checklist of like, okay, there's some other interaction here. Where the hell is it?
There's like a hint system that once you go back into the book, you can pay a little money and they will show you a hint. And I think if you then solve that hint, they'll give you another one if you need it and things like that. So it's not.
Also, I mean, there's also no barrier. So it's like if you are getting frustrated with a puzzle, like you just leave. Like it's
walk away.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like you get
the door's unlocked actually.
It unlocks.
Those interactions aren't required to beat the level.
Yeah.
You just kind of need to get to it. You need to do like one key interaction at the end. I think that unlocks kind of like, hey, this is the thing that opens up the end of the level.
Right.
But otherwise, you can just leave.
Yeah.
And
so even when I did hit those 1 or 2, that was like kind of annoying. Where it's like there was one that was like I just had to find a cave, and I was like, that's not really a puzzle. I just was like I couldn't find this thing, and if like I could have left. Like that's a good way to put it, Jen. The door was unlocked. I just was like, it was my own sort of like desire to figure out what this thing is,
Yeah, it's from the same director as Janet Garcia's Yoshi's Crafted World, which I believe is the official.
No.
Woolly
Mine's
World.
You keep trying to put Crafted World on me.
Sorry. Completely different.
Mark it step down from Woolly World.
Okay.
If you remembered, I wouldn't have to keep making it a big deal.
What's the difference? No, so it is the same director. Sorry, as Crafted World here overall. I was playing with my kid. I was excited to jump in because like he doesn't really have screen time. He's had like under 4 hours of screen time in his entire life. And so he was like kind of digging it, and we played like 3 or 4 levels, and he's like, hey, what else you got? I don't want to play this anymore. And then he's like, look at my home screen on the Switch, and he's like, okay.
Get him on the pod.
He's like, okay, there's some Yoshi game here, but he's like, this other one has art of Mario and Yoshi flying through the galaxy, and it was like just Galaxy 2's title screen or key art was on there. He's like, why wouldn't I play that? It's like, yeah, you got a point. All right, let's just go run around and have fun as Yoshi instead of like, look, you can name the guy. Isn't that fun? I don't, but he's too young. He's 3. I think if he's older, there's more to sink your teeth into and kind of understand about this whole experience.
I find this game really fascinating because it's the only game I think maybe in my entire life that I've played and I don't know really what I think about it. Usually I can form opinions very, very fast. Okay. But it's like I don't even know if it's good or not. Like I don't know. It's in a real oddity. I mean, we've kind of been talking around it. I think you can deduce what the structure of the game is from what we have already kind of said, but just to like really spell it out if you aren't familiar, it's like you have the book and then you take a magnifying glass and you look around like the page. Like the page will be like the world or whatever, and you will like highlight a character, and then the level that you go in is primarily themed around that character. So it might be like the flower enemy. I never know its name, whatever. And you get to name it. It's a cute little thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, you're like Cyril already said, you're doing these little, Crazy Daisy. It's like you're doing these little interactions. And that's kind of it. It is more interesting than like I recently played Yoshi's Story, finally, one of the worst Yoshi games by most people's standards. A game that also doesn't have a level end, but has a level end condition where you eat enough fruit and then you can just leave. This has more going to it than that. It's kind of interesting in that it's like puzzle meets environmental puzzle meets scavenger hunt. Yeah. But it's also like I don't know if I'm interested in doing this or if I'm interested in seeing it done. Like I do think there's something to the fact that an interaction, I had the flower eat the chili pepper and that did something. Cool, I figured it out, or I walked into it.
Yeah,
Did I like doing that? Did I gain anything from that?
Right.
Is this good? Like it kind of feels a little bit. I'm torn. It feels a little bit more almost tech demo-y for like a more interesting Yoshi game. Right. But at the same time, like, are they not allowed to kind of do something in like a different genre and style? Like, can this not just be its own thing? Because it is its own thing. But I don't know.
Yeah, the way that it curiously kind of appeals to the fighting game side of me, in that a lot of me in training mode is like, what happens if I do this?
Interesting.
Where it's like, if I do this in this thing, and I think you have to go into levels with that kind of curiosity about like, oh, like these leaves are falling and I can put them on my back. Can I also put them on other objects, right? And so you kind of have to, I hate this phrase, but like you kind of get out of it what you put into it, right? So you have to kind of have that innate curiosity about what would happen if you did different things versus like, I'm just interested in completing the challenge set by the game designers for me, right? And I mean, those interactions are kind of the challenges there. But if the idea of like kind of just poking and prodding at like different interactions doesn't really appeal to you, then I don't think this game is going to do much for you.
Yeah, for sure.
But like,
I'm laughing because I'm like, me and I guess Janet maybe are kind of like, yeah, you kind of solve puzzles. Oh, that's kind of charming. It's cute. And you're like, I'm playing Street Fighter and Deus Ex is what I'm.
I mean, it is. I do think there is something fun about when you do walk into some solutions, but it's really fun when you don't. Or when you kind of like in between where you're like, I'm curious, I had the musical level, you can like, spoilers for one of the solutions, you can throw Crazy Daisy into the little enemies and then they'll be like the conductor and then they get something for their page, which I did think that was fun. The idea that there's almost like a creature through line throughout the levels. It's like, oh, I can still learn about like Crazy Daisy, even though I'm not in Crazy Daisy's level, like, because they're going to reappear and then I can kind of almost chain things. And there's this interesting through line there. But yeah, like I don't really know what to make of it.
I think that's a good sign that they're trying something new and different and shaking this whole thing up. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's so strange because it's like the opposite of Mina the Hollower, where it's like when I'm not playing it, I'm not thinking about it at all. But every once in a while, I remember that I have it.
Yeah.
Right? And so like I'll play a little bit. It's like, oh, that's like I'll get wrapped up in it for like 30 minutes and feel like I need to figure out how to, like, there's this one hint that I haven't figured out and I need to figure out what exactly is it. And then something else happens, like I remember that I need to do something else. And then I put it down and I just don't think about it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I wouldn't say that I don't dislike it, but if someone were to ask me like, how do you feel about Yoshi? I'd be like, like I just kind of get, it's like a positive shoulder shrug in a weird way.
Yes, that's like, kind of exactly what it is. Where it's like I don't think it's. I know why people say this game is just okay. I know why people say this game is good. I don't know what I would say about this game. I'm still split on where I land between those two sections. But this is also like in the vein of games that kind of again in that scavenger hunt, in that Pokemon Snap element, games that reward like careful combing over of like a specific and limited environment. You see this a lot with like Spot the Difference games or I Spy games, or even to a degree, obviously it's not nearly as complex or good as this game, but the Case of the Golden Idol or like those kinds of puzzle games, like there is something fun about the space being like pretty contained. And this does to a degree lean on like Yoshi's franchise design strengths, which like Yoshi has always been about like exploration and like poking at things. And they're just taking this to like a more extreme degree. And the art is really pretty. But yeah, I don't it is that classic thing, unfortunately, where it's like, if I never play this game again, my life will be fine. Yep. It'll be kind of the same.
I hear you. It's interesting to see Nintendo experiment with kind of the stop motion frame rate. Like we just played Mixtape that was like that. South of Midnight last year. It seems like every company is like, well, let's just try and dabble with that style and seeing that
cost-cutting measure is what it is. They're getting rid of frames.
Oh, that's how we're going to keep the video game industry alive.
And they're also raising the price of this Switch later.
But it's interesting having this game launch like weeks after they announced the retirement of Tezuka, who's been at Nintendo forever. I mean, one of the original Mario designers, and we did a rapid fire interview with him back at Game Informer years ago. If you want to go back and check that out, but I mean, he was the director of Yoshi's Island. He was kind of brought in every once in a while to give a big boost for like, Yoshi's new island, Tezuka's involved. Look at all this. But I mean, people like to give Miyamoto a lot of credit for all these Nintendo games, obviously. But like, Tezuka was the director of Yoshi's Island, Mario World, Mario 3, Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, like gigantic.
We salute you.
It's insane, the games that he directed and that he quietly had a massive influence on and stuff. And now he's out the door at Nintendo, just as a new Yoshi is cracking out of that egg.
Do y'all know what the amiibo functionality is for this game?
No.
Care to take a guess?
No.
You'll never guess.
You get like coins or the something. You get R's.
Different colored Yoshis or something?
Nope. You tap a compatible amiibo figure each day to get your fortune read by Mr. E.
Oh, that's kind of fun, actually.
I know. Like, it's like, I do think they're like, it feels like they made this thinking like, what's something like creative and different that we can do with it?
Sure. Yeah,
The catch there is that I think it only works with Yoshi amiibos or Bowser Jr.
of course. And there's no Kamek amiibo that I know of.
Yes.
And the
Get in
more
line at Best Buy.
the more different types of amiibos you use, the more likely he is to tell you you're going to be poor
Oh, I see. That's smart. Yeah.
because he spent all your money on amiibos.
No kidding. $35, everybody. Put that in my hand. Hey, sorry, Vasquez, I know you've been gone for a long time in the great wide wilderness. Do you remember how this whole thing operates, though?
You put money in, and eventually they raise the price of something on you.
You know what we've never done here at MinnMax, Serial Vasquez?
Raise the price.
That's right. We've never raised the price for anything whatsoever. The $2 tier has always been the $2 tier. You can jump in and directly support independent games media. Again, get that game code for Town to City if you're a new supporter before this coming Monday. We'd greatly appreciate it. And shout out, of course, to some of our biggest supporters like I Am 8-Bit. They want everybody to know about Scott Pilgrim EX, everybody. It is available. The physical version is exclusive to I Am 8-Bit. You can get it on PS5, Nintendo Switch 2. You can get the awesome soundtrack from Anamanaguchi for Scott Pilgrim EX at I Am 8-Bit's wonderful online store. And you can use the promo code Strawberry Fields for not forever, but only until the end of this month, where you get 10% off if you use that promo code Strawberry Fields. Check out I Am 8-Bit's wonderful online store. I promise, if you're a dork, you'll find something you'll like. We've kept them around for so long. They've kept us around for so long. We've had this partnership going back to the days of one Serial Vasquez, just because it is such a beautiful pairing. Because if you listen to this podcast, you will like the stuff they sell in their store. So follow the link below. Use that promo code Strawberry Fields. Keep them around, please. All right. You should help support them because they support the MinnMax community in a huge way by shipping out a prize each and every week to whoever has the best question submitted on Patreon. Serial this week, whoever has the best question submitted on Patreon wins Slime Rancher 2 for PS5, the physical version. They'll ship that right out. Isn't that sweet?
Nice.
It's very nice. And so are you ready for these wonderful community questions, sir?
Yes.
Great. Are you really ready or are you just saying it?
We'll find out.
All right. Call him a poser if you want. Philly Yeet Steak on Patreon there. They say, hey, crew, do you prefer a game have great combat or great traversal? Kyle, there's no universe where you're not saying traversal.
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 Yeah, traversal is much more important to me.
Same
Yeah.
here.
Traversal lets you go places. Combat, you're usually kind of in one place, and it can be super fun. But like, I want to go places. You know.
Is there any game with combat where you go places? I'm trying to think of, I guess, Shadow of the Colossus when you're on the winged one. I don't know.
The games where you're like, what's that game where you're shooting? Neon White.
Neon White, you're going places while doing combat. Okay, it is a tough combo.
Titanfall 2 has a lot of like movement while you're, speeding around, shooting. But yeah,
A secret
I can't think
bonus
of like
question.
I can't think of like a game where it's like, yeah, you're just like flinging yourself from enemy to enemy over far distances or anything like that.
That's gonna
Suit
kill me.
Force, maybe.
The combat can just be punching or whatever, but if you can like jump and air dash and do flips and all that kind of stuff, that makes the combat more fun too.
And that's traversal in your mind?
Yeah, that's traversal.
Air dash is
The combat is the punching part. If you can air dash outside of combat, then it's definitely not combat. That's traversal.
But if you're dashing and it's just a big dash and you're using it in combat as much as you're using it, like that feels like that's like.
Well,
that's
if you're
boosting
moving
combat.
around, that's a form of traversal. But if you're
traversal.
moving in combat, then it's a combat verb. Like this is a really weird distinction.
I'm trying to think of if anybody would choose combat. I mean, Serial, Mr. Fighting Game?
I mean, I like games like Devil May
So
Cry.
mean to
I like
Serial.
fighting games where it's like
What kind of weirdo would choose combat?
You freak over here.
it's not like I dislike traversal. I think I've played games where you do very little traversal and mostly combat, and I like those. Sue me.
You will be sued.
You
will be hearing from a
If
lawyer.
the fighting game fan chose traversal, he'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I wonder what Jacob Geller would choose. He'd probably be combat, right? I think he would.
My guts is combat, yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, I wonder what Jacob's doing right now. Jacob,
I
if you're
know,
listening,
don't
give us
ya?
just start screaming. We can hear you, Jacob.
He's probably writing an essay.
Yeah, freaking hell. Tom Rickard writes in and says, hey, Serial, what fighting game should MinnMax cover for their next deepest dive? We're doing 007 First Light. We don't have time for no fighting games. They say, why won't Ben let this happen? I miss hearing you on the show.
It'd be tough because I think a fighting game deepest dive would mostly be about I think you'd have to obviously like you're not going to go through the story mode and say like we'll be covering the first half of the latest Mortal Kombat story mode.
Man,
I
that
feel
was
like
fun.
it would have to
That's
be
exactly
people who
what
are,
Hanson would do.
That does sound fun.
Yeah, I think the way that I would want to do it would be like have 4 people who are at least invested enough in the idea to play for like a month and maybe have like a short weekly check-in of like, okay, how the process of learning one of these versus like, the first half of the story, second half of the story. So it'd have to be like kind of almost like an improvement fitness club kind of thing of like, how have you been kind of learning the game? Like what are your strategies? Who are you learning from? And talking about like what it's like to learn something.
It'd be wild. And obviously all hail the brand. Brand is everything. But what if we just broke the brand? Like, wouldn't it be kind of cool to do a deepest dive that was like video only? And it was just like, it's a deepest dive, but it's just like us talking about it as we're competing in this fighting game over and over again. Because like, Suriel, you could probably do it, but I don't know if like talking about getting better at the mechanics of a fighting game would be that compelling, but like,
yeah,
watching
it depends on how you
improve.
approach it, right? Because it's like one thing to say that like, oh yeah, I figured out how like what all the plus frame stuff. I would say I'm more interested in the idea of like, how are you learning, right? Of are you watching videos? Are you like watching matches? Like how do you approach like, I played like 5 matches and what are my takeaways from that of like, what are the things I need to do to improve versus like, yeah, I learned how to do a fireball better.
Right.
But it would break format in that you're kind of talking about, it would be more of a better quest thing than it would be like discussing individual points of the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the kind of the biggest one would have been the Riot game, but that kind of came and left. But I think like Tokon, Marvel would be probably the next one that you could do something on.
Do you think what's the buzz on Tokon? I feel like people are being like, well, Marvel versus fans, here you go. Here's your slop. And the buzz I've heard from the fighting game community is like, I don't know about this one actually. Like, where do you think it's going to land?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of at a weird midpoint because it's like made by by Arc System.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not quite a Marvel it's not a Marvel game in feel a lot of the time, but it does have those Marvel characters which should make it bigger. So it's kind of at a weird point with cross communities because like Arc fans are already eating pretty well with like Guilty Gear and some of the Grand Blue, right? Yeah, a lot of their output recently. So they don't necessarily need another one. So I'll be curious to see how like those two communities kind of intermingle to receive this game. But I mean, it's got playable Kamala Khan in a fighting game, which is a thing that I have wanted for years and years.
That's right. I forgot you're the biggest fan. Do you think she's?
But you could do You could do just the next NetherRealm game, right?
It does sound fun
just
too.
do it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it ends up being, because like I've liked those last few quite a bit. So and like I honestly think my takeaway from the Mortal Kombat 2 movie, by the way, was that like the story it was better in the last 2 games. So it's like in this weird inversion where it's like the actual fights in those story modes for Mortal Kombat games are like whatever, but the story I think is pretty solid. Whereas in the movie, I think the fights in the movie were awesome, but the story is like whatever.
As the world's biggest Miss Marvel fan, do you also feel like she's weird in the MCU where like I want her to like have a big fist and say embiggen and stuff, and there's like
I don't like her MCU iteration at all.
It's weird. It's like she's a bunch of light platforms. Like I don't want Miss Marvel to use light I want her to be big and bulgy and do crazy things with her body.
Yeah, the problem is that like I think
it looks bad.
That stretches literally the SFX budget. I think quite a bit more than
and it doesn't
make
look
one
good.
effect.
Yeah.
Though I also want that and enjoy seeing it.
Yeah, it's weird. Just play that Avengers storyline again, which was good, everybody, in that game.
Surprisingly better than you would think.
It was.
Yeah.
Let's see. Grizzled Gaming writes in, they say, hey, gang, no question. Then get out of here. They say, no, I just wanted to say it's nice to have Suriel back. It's fun to see the OG4 together again on a podcast. Plus Janet Garcia. Welcome, Janet.
Why'd you
Well, it felt weird not to acknowledge that you were here. I don't know. Steve, no reaction there, Suriel?
Oh, well, yeah, thank you.
Oh, cool.
I appreciate it. I like
He's tearing up.
You can't see it in the audio version, but he's freaking losing it. Chandler writes in, they say, in Suriel's heart, does he feel, we all know what this feels like, does he feel like a founding member of MinnMax, or is it just something he did for a while? In other words, does he think about MinnMax more or less often than he thinks about Advance Wars?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I feel like I do. I mean, I am technically a founding member, So
You have the stock.
yeah, I have. That's right. I have the stock.
Mhm.
I guess technically yes, but I don't. I guess I don't necessarily like see it as my thing at this point, right? Because I'm not involved in it anymore
Okay.
in that way.
That
I
was
think
good.
of myself as alumni in that way.
Okay, we'll take that.
Okay.
But on a resume, do you put MinnMax co-founder?
I put podcasting at various, I think, and I think MinnMax
Really?
is the first one that I list.
Okay, interesting.
I don't think of myself as a co-founder because I'm always like, Ben really
Well,
started the thing. But in a professional setting, resume, LinkedIn.
Hell
Maybe
yeah,
I'm
that
a
resume
MinnMax
should always be.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
follow
you
me on
can spin
LinkedIn, fast forward a couple minutes. You should always be putting the highest thing
Well,
you can possibly
I will
put.
say no disrespect, but it's like right now my title on LinkedIn is like narrative lead at my old company.
Yes, yeah.
Like co-founder is an improvement, but it's like if you put
Yeah.
co-founder at podcast, I don't think anyone takes you seriously, unfortunately.
It is, I think the pettiest and worst I get is every once in a while, I mean, okay. Noted, big grain of salt asterisk, a-hole alert pointed towards me with big red flashing arrows. But like in the rare instance where like you get like a news story about MinnMax and they have like, I do an interview with them or whatever, they're always like, MinnMax's co-founder, Ben Hansen. I'm like, well, I mean, not really. I mean, I guess like there were like 3 other guys there, but it's like, it's my whole thing.
Your founder. That's what I
But
would,
it's a
you know
weird
what I
thing,
mean?
'cause,
Like,
like-
I think you're founder, and then like I'm co-founder with Jeff and Serial, and we have asterisks, you know?
But it's you
Like-
can't convey that. So it's like, I get it. And like on
Yes,
Wikipedia,
yeah.
it says
What's
Ben
funny is I
co-founded
thought
it.
you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
like that because I feel like we've talked and you're like, I hate when people say like I'm your boss in emails. It's like
That's
weird.
different. I don't mind founder because like, you know, for titles, it's like founder I do like as the official title instead of like
Did you watch
president.
The Founder? Like the documentary about the McDonald's guy?
Documentary, the Michael Keaton documentary. No, I
you know
love
what
The
I mean.
Founder.
You know what I mean. You know what
I do
mean.
like
You know
it.
what I mean.
I do like that movie a lot. I watched
Hanson,
a lot of clips.
Do
from
you
it.
remember when we were on that GameSpot charity live stream a few years ago?
Yes, I do. I have a poster.
And
from that.
they sent us the poster, and we are listed as Ben Hansen and MinnMax. Which in that situation means that I'm MinnMax.
Congratulations.
It really should have
I'm
been the
MinnMax.
other way around, right?
That is weird. Well, you're here, Serial, Mr. MinnMax. So it is your thing. You should.
right.
Kind of an
full
Ocean's
ownership.
11 situation is what Ben wants. You know, I thought we were
Yeah.
calling it the Benedict job, but all right.
Steve Bellegarde says, "Hey, MinnMax." They're talking to you, Serial. Even though I never liked Destiny, as a Halo era Bungie fan, I'm sad to see it end so abruptly. Yeah, news broke that Bungie's like, Destiny, we're no more new stuff. Okay, bye. Everything's fine over here. How are you? They said. What makes me sadder is that someday Destiny will be unplayable and over 11 years of Bungie history will be gone forever. So my question is, well, first of all, I want to get your take on the end of Destiny first, Serial, as a big fan, and then we'll get to this killer question.
Yeah, it's weird because I think that this was kind of Destiny was, I think, definitely one of the first big, I don't want to say it's like the first live service game, but it was one of the biggest early swings for like this kind of, hey, we're going to adopt a lot of the MMO framework and we're going to put it into what was then like the AAA experience, right? Of like, this is a shooter from Bungie, but that's also an MMO. They just didn't like to call it that. And I figuring out like this could go on forever and ever. And I think that particular model of like, we're going to add narrative based kind of like single player content over a long period of time. I think seeing this one come to an end kind of shows a lot of like what the other live service games have struggled with, of like you either become this competitive like multiplayer thing where it's like the longest games that have gone on are things like Dota or like Overwatch, or things where it's like people are fine with like adding new characters and new content patches and like balance updates and stuff. But in terms of like what Destiny was adding every season was like this huge amount of content of like physical spaces of, we have a new raid, story campaign, some story missions, a new event, and like that's kind of our seasonal updates. And so I think they were even in their fallow years in the last couple of years, their big ads were, I think, larger in scope than I think a lot of other games, even if it didn't feel that way, because like most other games that are kind of still around are just like they're adding kind of more incremental pieces to what is already the regular pot. And I think that kind of that thing wasn't necessarily scalable once they started moving on to Marathon, and once, kind of a lot of the Sony post-acquisition stuff was happening where they wanted more return on investment than rather just like a steady stream of income.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, I'll admit that like the last big expansion that I was really into was Final Shape.
This is like for everybody,
And
right?
so
Like that was kind of
yeah,
a good send off back then, and now it's just kind of been limping
yeah,
along.
yeah. So it's like I'm almost surprised that it lasted this long after Final Shape, where it felt like after Final Shape, the rest was kind of just like, I think it was a good jumping off point, right? And I think everyone just kind of took it as what that was. But I know I was still playing it every once in a while, like maybe once or twice a month, with a couple friends, and we were still like having fun with it, right? And I don't know. I feel like I think everyone was more or less ready to move on, and I'm not sure. It's better for what happened to Destiny than I guess what most games get nowadays. It's like, hey, we're shutting down in a week completely. Like, see you later.
Right. It's still
So
playable.
it's better than
here.
that. Yeah, it's still playable, and like for what it's worth, Destiny, the original Destiny, is still playable.
That's
Like,
wild.
you can, so I'm guessing it'll be around for longer than like a couple of more years and stuff. But yeah, that it's not. I'm not like shocked by it, but I'm just kind of like, okay, this was going to happen at some point, and I cherish like the rest of Destiny. I appreciate the memories that I've made with it, but I think by the time it ended, I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I expected.
But if they had a cryptic teaser for Destiny 3 tomorrow, would your heart flutter?
It depends, because it's like I don't know what they do. Like, is that company built to make another Destiny, right? Like,
That's
it's so many
sad
of
to
the
think
people
about that.
behind Destiny are gone at this point, and so like all the talent turnover, and then like for what it's worth, I think Marathon is like from a design standpoint a success for me, even if it's not if it's not blowing up or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job on Marathon, right? Like, I think Bungie did what they needed to do, but it was enough for like, post acquisition for like Sony needs you to make $1 billion, every quarter or whatever. But now it just feels like because you didn't meet those marks, like, yeah, there's the report out there by Jason Schreier that says like there are probably going to be huge layoffs once that June 9th date hits.
Yep.
Right. Are they able to maintain Marathon, add new content, and make another brand new Destiny? Like, that seems like a game where it's like, hey, Bungie's kind of the core, and then we have, I don't know, like NetEase like making the larger scope thing, right?
Well,
and they have that Destiny mobile game.
That's what I'm wondering. It's like Destiny Rising from NetEase, like that's still going to be updated. So is it going to be a weird thing where Destiny fans like just migrate over for like, I guess new Destiny content is just going to be in Destiny Rising?
Yeah, and I think Bungie's in a peculiar place where it's like I think they have a huge fan base, but they've kind of had this trajectory where it's like every time they've pivoted, it's kind of in a way that makes it harder for people to transition from like their one franchise to another, right? There was like kind of shift with Halo and Destiny where I think they lost some people like Kyle, right, who was a huge Halo fan and wasn't really interested in Destiny. And even as much as I enjoyed Marathon for like 30, 40 hours, but it's like I just came to the point where it was like the extraction shooter thing is just not going to click with me at some point.
Sure.
And so and a lot of people who play Destiny for the PvE stuff and the raids, which is me, right, are bouncing off of Marathon, right? So it's like they have this like series of successes in my mind, but they're not cumulative in the way that I think a lot of other companies have built stuff, where it's like Nintendo always builds like Zelda and Mario, and it's like they're not pivoting away from Zelda to Mario, right?
Yep.
The next game is going to be like a deck building MOBA.
Yeah, I think that seems
the
likely.
only place to go.
Smart. I mean, it is weird that Jason Schreier just put up a video on his own YouTube channel. How dare he not come on MinnMax?
Yeah,
to talk about this
you
stuff?
mean famous YouTuber Jason Schreier?
That's right. Blah, blah, blah. Subscribe. But he, in that kind of breakdown that he posted on there, he reminded me that I forgot, and he was speaking directly to me about that idea that like Luke Smith for a long time was working on like a more approachable third-person version of Destiny. That was kind of the side project that he was working on. That was more in the vein of like a Hoyoverse game, which I'd love to see that. It sounds like Destiny's attempt almost at a Horizon Hunters Gathering or something. Like I just want to see like what that would conceivably have looked like. But if that's dead, and if Destiny 3 presumably is not happening, at least right now, they're in a weird spot. Fingers crossed for him. Steve Bellegarde, though, he did have a killer question where he says, do you think that Destiny will have a long legacy like Halo? Will it have a bigger impact than Halo ultimately is an interesting
Yeah, I
conundrum,
think
right?
the thing that made it popular is the thing that's going to make it a lot harder to archive. I don't know if there's a version of that where they eventually release like the Master Chief Collection version of it, where it's like you can play through all the campaign missions. We've unvaulted some of the content and stuff you can play through it beginning to end.
Yeah.
Because so much of it's like there are ways that you can do raids with like 3 people or whatever, but those are built for 6 people. And how do you would have to do a lot more work to make Destiny kind of a thing that endures after the server shut down than you would with Halo.
I'm not a Destiny player. I don't really know the world, right? But I've never seen like a singular character that came out of Destiny as like a recognizable character or like elements of the universe that like, I mean, compared to Master Chief, who has like, he was the star of a TV show,
I
don't
piece
think
of
there would be
imagery,
a Destiny TV show.
I mean, they could make a Destiny show starring Cade 6, Nathan Fillion doing a Pedro Pascal Mandalorian mask thing. That might be their best bet, right?
Yeah, he's like an alien guy kind of thing.
Is he a robot or an alien? I think he's a robot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of hard because I think for Halo is definitely a time and place kind of thing where it's like for a few years he like Master Chief was the face of gaming and to a large number of people,
Like
Destiny
he
was never
broke
on
out
Mountain
of
Dew,
gamer circles. Like people who don't play video games knew about like Master Chief. Like they've seen that weird green, tank looking soldier guy. Yeah. He's from that video game, right? I don't know that there's any Destiny character that fits that bill.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is because like all the Destiny characters are just like
they're custom, right? So
yeah, well, they're custom, but then also it's like a lot of people who just wear masks, right? Where they have like these obscuring helmets and stuff, and then like a lot of the human characters are there. Like you have like Ikora, Cade 6, and Zavala and stuff, but like those are not used very often in like the imagery that comes to mind when you think of Destiny. I think like the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Destiny is just like the Traveler, right?
Traveler,
like
a bunch of clouds. Yeah,
it's a huge ball, and it's harder to make an icon out of that and say like that's the game with the Traveler in it. Like that's that's not going to stick.
Yeah, but it is weird to think about like Destiny. I think at peak or like total, I think at 30 million players, somewhere around there. Halo 3. The best-selling entry is Halo 3. Yeah, Halo 3 sold 15 million. So I know it's not exactly apples and oranges and stuff, and like counting players versus copy sold is a little bit wonky and stuff, but it's like it is interesting of like, more people. Then again, Halo is a lot more local multiplayer, people coming over to play and stuff, so it's like it is possible that
it's like one copy of Halo could serve 4 people.
Yeah, right. It's tricky, but anyways. Rest in peace, Destiny, but I'm glad people are still gonna be able to play it. Hey, Janet, Sky Fellowship wrote in. They say, hey, you ever stop to think about how wild the 3DS was?
Yeah.
Yeah. You lose sleep about it still?
No, it's just that, I mean, I think especially, with how the handheld market has sort of heavily shifted. Like, obviously, we do have the Steam Deck, which is now $1 million. That's right. But, like... And you have like PlayStation kind of having a thing where it's like it's sort of like a handheld because it's in your hand. Like we've lost recipes. We've gone away from like the true handheld, the device that can fit in your bag, the device that can even fit in your pocket depending on how big your pockets are. We've gone away from having bigger pockets, then we've gone back. But yeah, like I miss having the culture around a handheld, like the specificity of the object, it being so stripped down. To like not really have it, kind of like it not having anything. Like I was playing, this isn't a 3DS story, but I was playing my like, I don't know, my GBA or something the other day, and I'm like, I love that I can't tell what time it is on this. Like I want to just be away and like so yeah, there is just definitely a magic to it, and I think obviously the 3D on the 3DS wasn't exactly maybe what Nintendo dreamed it up to be. Granted, it was improved with the new Nintendo 3DS XL,
right.
But it did have some of like some really just incredible games too that are specific to that device. Like 3D Land, I think is still one of the greatest platformers ever.
I agree.
Super
but
strong
I feel
game
like,
in general.
Yes, I feel like we are going to get run out of town if we say that too loudly. But I agree.
It also like the 3DS. I think was the only technology that I've ever seen where people are like, yeah, it's 3D, but you don't have any glasses. And it's like,
and
what are
works.
you talking? That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And you can just turn it off if you don't want to use it. So it's like, it's kind of inoffensive in that way.
Yeah, they made a new technology that no one could even.
And then by the end of it, they basically said, "Here's a version of our console that doesn't have its defining feature. They have a 2DS," and people are like, "This thing is actually pretty cool because it's like."
I love that weird block.
Really
I think it's cool
it's so
too.
ugly.
Oh,
the
who
door
cares
stopper?
about how things look?
Yeah, I don't like it.
The stereoscopic 3D is like something we don't get in tech anymore, right? Like phones, handhelds, like the AYN Thor and stuff like that. It's like they're all just sort of iterations on, a little miniature computer. Where the 3DS was maybe the last time that like I turned on a tech piece of technology and I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. This feels entirely new. And it's like, yeah, I got a little bit of a headache after a while, and then like I ended up wanting to engage more with the software and the video games rather than the 3D became like less interesting. But it's like I can't think of the last time that like a technology really felt like magical in that way. You know?
Yeah. The Sky Fellowship had more thoughts. They said, not only with the 3DS did we get 3D without the glasses, but in that one little console, you can play every single era of Nintendo except for Virtual Boy games. So they go on to list that like technically every era you could play on there. I mean, you had Ice Climbers and Zelda you could play, I guess, available in the shop. And then like they had Switch games on there, like Fire Emblem Warriors and Hyrule Warriors and stuff, technically. And like every different era and every different, different style again, the DS games, backwards compatibility, all that stuff. Like there were Wii games like Xenoblade Chronicles, Kirby's Epic Yarn on there. Like it is the weird one-stop shop for all Nintendo's history instead of kind of this more patchwork thing. And I guess even with, the Nintendo Switch Online stuff now, you're not going to get DS and 3DS unless there's a big announcement.
Yeah, we didn't know how good we had it with Virtual Console, man.
Yep, it's fun. L. Stockler, hello, everybody. Who amongst the cohorts at MinnMax's extended family is most likely to be a spy or secret agent? There's no debate in my mind. I know exactly what this is. Do you all have somebody in mind?
Of all the cohorts?
Who do you think is most likely to be a spy? Come on.
Well, whose extended family is most likely to be a spy?
Extended family or cohorts. You could make this umbrella as big as you want.
Is it Haley?
Jeffem?
It's of course Jeffem. The most mysterious cryptic person here. Come on. Okay. Haley's an open book. Jeffem is
But I feel like Haley maybe has
Haley's Canadian.
If his extended family,
that's
the Canadian, honestly, it was
Canadians famously don't have spies.
They won't even let her in the U.S.
Is there? But it's her extended family. It's not
That's just her cover, though.
Yeah.
And her family wouldn't tell. You know what I mean? Like they theoretically wouldn't be telling her that they're a spy because you can't tell anyone. That's like the rule of being a spy.
Is there genuinely? Do you think there are Canadian spies in the United States, or like, not that they're posting a link?
So we're turning into one of those podcasts. Okay, got it.
No, but seriously, are they like, I'm gonna just try and get as high up as I can in the government, and then just give all the info I can to Canada? Like, every country probably has spies.
Maybe nowadays
outside of our country to get into our government and
I think they just started their spy program now. Like, see what's going on.
It's possible, honestly. I just wonder. Do you think?
I would love to know what they find out actually, because I have some questions myself.
But Jenna Garcia, $2 million on the line. You have a crystal ball that tells you exactly the truth. Are there Canadian spies in the United States government right now? Like genuine spy-ass spies? Yes or no?
Why do I have to answer this question?
Because it's more fun.
How about you, the white man, answers? I don't know.
What does a race have to do with spying?
With everything. What do you mean? Okay. I don't know. I guess I don't like this. I like the 3DS question more.
Okay.
I think if there is one, I think the extent of it is like I installed an app on some administrator's phone. Is like the extent of Canadian spying on U.S.
Or
activities.
genuinely, like I went to Mar-a-Lago and had dinner and I learned what country we're attacking next. Like maybe that level of that was easy.
And then I made bets on it.
Yeah, raking in the loonies and the toonies. Let's see. So again, the answer is Jeffem, because notice we all said Jeffem in unison, and he quietly slid on the radar, and we got distracted and started talking about other things. I know.
I feel like
it's Jeffem's family. It's not Jeffem.
Spy would be the least likely person, though.
That was the question, right? It said who's extended family.
No. It's not. It's not the Jeffem's kids or cohorts or extended family of MinnMax. Like they're saying just the bigger thing.
I did take it the same as you though, where it was like, like Jeffem's parents or something like that's how I
obviously his parents are spies. Yeah.
Okay, well, then it's definitely Jeffem. Though Jeffem's a little too available for that Thursday stream to be a spy, I think.
I don't
know if you can tell the spy people, like, hey, just so you know,
that is
Wednesdays have to be available for MinnMax show, and Thursday. Though maybe they would have that because it's part of his cover.
Right.
That's what that old calendar invite was.
Why are you so available on Thursdays for that stream?
If everybody said that I was the spy, then obviously I wouldn't be the most likely spy because it would be too obvious.
No.
It would be the person that no one thinks.
Sarah
Cyril did leave for a while. Now
That's
he's
true. I
suddenly back,
did
and
leave
it's
to
like,
spy on the game industry.
Roboy says if
it's-
there's no Jeff stream tomorrow we'll know why I actually can't stream tomorrow.
Wow.
You should watch the news that Thursday that Jeffem isn't. isn't
Yeah.
around to
I'll be
stream.
going back to North Korea tomorrow. So.
Wait, what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz? Jeffem's there?
Hey, Mateo, he's there. He's in a dinghy.
I'll never tell.
Classic spy line.
Are we? How many years are we away though from their like? Hey, turns out this podcaster was a spy the whole time.
Well, does it
20
count?
I
as
mean,
being
we
a-
already had that scandal, right? They were all getting paid by Russia.
Yeah,
so-
exactly. Does that count as a
Oh, was
spy?
it?
It's like
Okay,
we're
that's already
handing you
happened.
hundreds of thousands of dollars to just say
Is
this
it-
Russian
does that
propaganda.
count as spy or is it? Yeah. Does
Is
that
it a-
count as
Yeah, it turns
spying?
out Ukraine, they really.
They're doing the opposite
really
of
asking
spying.
for
They're
the
they're like
aggression.
broadcasting.
Yeah,
Well, it's like
spying.
psyops. Psyops falls into.
I guess whoever was
category,
paying them
right?
was the spy.
I don't think so.
Find the spy, guys.
Find a spy.
game was
Let us know.
Pretty cool,
Write in and let us
though.
know where the spy is.
Is there that game?
Mateo, no, Kyle. Mateo writes in and they say, who looks more off-putting? The new Star Fox? I think he looks great. Or the new hero from Dragon Quest 12. Did you all catch this morning? They debuted the kind of the overhaul of Dragon Quest 12, which we just talked about last week on the podcast. Wasn't it just last week of like
Dragon Quest 12? They're overhauling it?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
they started over.
it was called the Flames of Fate, and they showed the logo before, and it's like, this is the edgy Dragon Quest. Your parents don't want you to play it. And now they overhauled it, and it's called Dragon Quest 12 Beyond Dreams, and your parents want you to play it now. And it kind of just looks like a more friendly tone overhaul, but like the protagonist, people are dunking on the way he looks because he's just got like
Wait.
real tired eyes.
Is it this lizard looking guy or the
He's just another
okay.
dude. He's just another
it's the
dude.
Pete Davidson looking guy?
It's the Pete Davidson looking ass guy, yeah.
I
And
saw John Carson, I think friend of the show, friend of Game Informer. He posted that the lizard guy and the protagonist, his theory is that they're the same character
I think that's nonsense. Just because they have the same
because they have
black
the
shirt.
same sword.
Oh, sword and shirt.
Yeah,
I don't know. If
which
that's
is kind of interesting.
Yeah, but their armor doesn't look anything alike. Did
yeah.
they
The
change armor when
hair.
they
I was looking at the
transform
hair. It's not exactly the same. I think it's just Toriano's
No, wait,
past,
they
so
do look the same. Ew.
Ewy.
I don't like the lizard guy. The protagonist looks normal, but I guess I don't know what
Normal?
he looked like before.
Well, they didn't
Well, we
even
don't.
show.
We don't. They never showed him, and he could be a different protagonist because they just restarted. So you
Yeah.
just gotta take him at
Yeah.
face value. He looks like a Dragon
He
Quest
just looks like a
protagonist.
regular. Yeah, he looks like a regular guy. Star Fox
I
looks
think in
way
the art,
weirder.
he looks better, but yeah, there's definitely. I hate to make this criticism, but it is like, hey, we added Dragon Quest to Fortnite.
Oh, you can't say that.
The
Surreal.
cartoony kind of the shading and
It's
yeah,
a little bit like
little
that,
bit.
but it looks better. It looks slightly better. I think, especially in the like the backgrounds and stuff. I like.
Did
it looks better than that.
Toriyama draw him? Did they share that, or is he?
I don't think they
he had
said in that
passed at point?
presentation. I think it probably, for the overhaul at least. I'm curious if he was involved at least at all, like the original version of 12. But it is just a
Yeah.
bummer to be like, oh, I was kind of looking for like a completely different tone with like a darker Dragon Quest, as silly as it is. Because 11, I feel like you can't out 11 Dragon Quest 11. It's just as pure as Dragon Quest can get. So like, I think they should go in a different direction. And now the idea that they rebooted development, it's going to be years away before they finish it is kind of a bummer. But there we go. Malcolm Holiday writes in and they say, hey, MinnMax, I've recently been thinking of entering a fighting game local tournament. Just trying to find one that fits my schedule. Maybe this is my Better Quest goal. Well, lock it in. My question is, have any of you all considered entering a gaming competition? Which type do you think you'd crush? Speedrunning, shooters, Marvel vs. Capcom 2?
You know, I was never great at Halo 1, but I liked Halo 1 a lot to the point where I wanted to be in a tournament. Not with the sort of confidence that like I could win or I would go with a friend and we would win. But I was like, I just bet that would be fun and maybe I could make it into a few rounds.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like about the furthest I thought about it, I think.
You could do it, man. I believe in you.
I've attended a few. I think the one I did best at was like for Street Fighter Cross Tekken. There was like GameStop hosted like this series of tournaments where it's like you can go to a GameStop and compete for prizes and stuff. And I got third, which
Nice.
out of I think like 10 people.
You podiumed.
And I think I got, what did I get? I think I got like one of those like PS3 fight pads. That
Hey, that's
Yeah.
nice. For
the 6
third?
buttons on the face.
Damn.
I think
That's
so.
cool. Wow, nicely done. Which game do you think is held in higher esteem? Street Fighter, Cross Tekken, or Pokken?
Probably Pokken. I think the people who played Pokken really did enjoy it. I think it was at Worlds when we went there in 2019.
That's right. The Pokemon thing.
I do remember that I had to relearn because they only allowed controllers at that tournament, and I was using a fight stick, so I had to learn how to play the game on PS3.
You're
controller.
a hero. You're the best adversarial. No
Well,
one can
like
compare
the other
with you.
funny thing was that like I did like a combo, and one of the people, like one of the GameStop reps there, was like, "Is this the best player we've ever seen? Like he's doing combos." And then the guy did like a much longer combo right after that. The guy who beat me, and she was like, "Oh, okay. I guess it's a common thing in these games. I guess
It's not a miraculous thing that's happened.
yeah."
Mike Lynch writes in, what are your thoughts on fan meet and greets? I like it as an opportunity for lower rung celebrities to make money. I'm glad you're rooting for them, Mike. But my God, does my social anxiety flare up at the thought of being at either end of that transaction? Yeah, I hear you. Every once in a while you see those images where it's like, we got all the hobbits from Lord of the Rings to pose with us as I propose to my wife and give her a ring. And I just feel terrible for everybody involved. And I am thinking about the dollar amount that's been spent. It feels nasty for some reason.
It's like this weird combination of like in that situation, it feels like the hobbits are slumming it and the couple is overpaying where it's like, I don't know if, I guess it's like special to them, right? Because they have the attachment enough to spend the money and they did it of their own volition. But I would definitely feel like, I don't think anyone gets out too hot in this situation, but that's just me.
But it's also the thing of like when you see those like Comic-Con meet and greets and all that stuff where it's like the paid thing, it's like, it's either, hey, look at me, I was the voice of this background character for some anime nobody's ever heard of, or, and that's worst case scenario. And best case scenario is it's like some meet and greet with some celebrity, Shannon Doherty, I don't know, a good example. And it's going to feel bad for him. It's like, oh, you're at that level? Like, even though I shouldn't care at all, I still apparently am judging celebrities based on like, oh, meet and greet at a celebrity event. Okay, at a convention. It feels, every aspect feels judgy, and I don't like myself for thinking it. And so, damn them.
Especially since like we don't know if that's like a thing where it's like it's all, to use your example, like Shannon Doherty, like this is how she has to travel from con to con doing this versus like, I don't know, I guess I'll be in Boston that week for something else I'm doing. I guess I may as well show up for this or
Maybe
whatever.
It's just a fun thing she shows up to.
Yeah, and it's like there are, I will say, like there probably are people who do the circuits and stuff because like that's kind of,
it becomes a career. I think, if you have a small role in like Star Wars or something, it's like, my new job is like you signing autographs.
Yeah, I guess the kind of, I guess, sad part of it is that like that they never kind of elevated. They never became more than just like that guy who was on one Star Wars movie. But maybe it's like, I don't know. I mean, like maybe I was in a Star Wars movie and like I was there for 3 days and I didn't really care for it. But if I can make it some extra money on the side as like, whoever the Star Wars character is every few weekends, like that's fine.
Is there anyone y'all would pay to meet and greet? You get the little photo and stuff.
Jacob Geller, probably.
Get in line.
You do technically pay him every time you talk to him.
Damn it.
He's probably sent at least a text to him before, just as a freebie.
I don't know. Laura Dern, maybe. I'd like to see her face.
Laura
Dern. Yeah, why'd you say it like that? I actually want you away from Laura Dern. I don't know. I just don't think I'm that interested in that kind of thing. Though I don't. What's the core of the question? Is it? Do you feel bad for one side?
What do you think about them? Yeah. What do you think about meet and greets?
I think it's like it's whatever. To me, it's another example of like, it's not my thing, but like, it's not problematic. So whatever. Kind of like how I'm not big on when I travel. Some people really like, we're outside of the house that like Van Gogh lived in that one time. That doesn't do a lot for me. Like, I just don't really care.
It's
but
kind of,
some people really care, and it's like, okay, if you care, I can see that being exciting. But like,
I think we are maybe the wrong kind of like section of people to consider this because I don't know, maybe it's just like from interviewing developers all the time is that I don't think I really get starstruck very often, and I think the kinds of interactions that you get from like, oh, I met a fan at like, I met this celebrity at a convention and they gave me an autograph and I left, like that. I would like to meet like people that I admire in not that situation where it's just like we say hi, they give me a thing, I pay them money and then I leave.
Yes.
Like that. because I've had the kinds of conversations with like, interviewing, for example, like Miyazaki when we did the Sekiro cover story, right? Like talking to him about like having a substantive conversation with him, right? Like the idea of me doing like the kind of fan interactions, it just doesn't really do anything for me. But I think that's because of the careers that we have. We've met like not a small amount of famous people that
I will
are
say
internationally admired.
I indirectly pay for meet and greet stuff with LA Galaxy players because I'm a season ticket member. And one of the perks is that you get to sometimes do like the meet and greet thing.
Yeah.
I find it to be, I do it. I have a ball that's like been signed by a lot of the players, which is really cool. It is stressful to me. I'm really glad that like my husband Isaiah is also a season ticket member. Obviously we go together. Like I'm glad he's there, and he's also just like way more like nice and charming than I am. I'm kind of like tense and crunchy. Like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you talk and I'll kind of just be there, But it also just, it's so awkward and it's stressful and it's also quick. And also they're doing it like a bunch, even if it's like a smaller thing. So it's just like, and then sometimes it's funny for the Galaxy because you don't always even know who you're going to see like on the team. It's just like a player.
Weird.
And then it's like, I found out it's so-and-so. And I'm like, okay, who is he again? Because usually it's not usually not the big ones, but like it's not, there's only a couple really big, it's like it's a team sport. So it's like, that's, I don't know, it's a little weird. And then you're just like, I hope like there's like one nice thing. And it's also that awkward thing of you're obviously like to some degree obsessed with them, but you're just a person to them. So it's like, oh, I love watching you play, but like, I don't want to be creepy.
But everybody has to say that.
It's like very like, ugh.
I think, that's kind of what I was saying is like the structure, the kind of like the structure of that conversation, I think is the thing that I just doesn't do anything for me. So like to use an example, like David Lynch, right, is someone I would have loved to have met while he was alive. But I don't know that I would have, like, if they were like, hey, pay $100 and David Lynch will like say hi to you or whatever and like sign an autograph. Like, I don't know that I would even want that. I would love the opportunity to have like spend a day like watching David Lynch on set or to be directed by like to have a cameo on like, and that should be obvious. I'm sure everyone would prefer like, do you want to meet and greet with David Lynch or do you want to be on the set of a David Lynch movie for a day? That's obvious. Yeah. I'm mostly saying that like one of those interactions appeals to me. One of the other does not.
And this is not to diminish like, I feel like there's a difference between like paid meet and greet versus like a community
versus free
meetup.
Ones.
Well, yeah, like community meetup is like, yeah, we can actually have a conversation and stuff, but just kind of like
that's another thing too. Are we not just doing the same thing?
No, but like it's so much nicer. You can actually talk to people. It's like, don't take this as like I don't want to talk to people.
Yeah, it's not like a lineup situation. Yeah, that's the thing where it's like, and for me, really, what the I feel like I spent way too much time on this. What the juice of it really is like, you maybe get a signature, which is cool, and if you're collecting them, yay, and like you get a picture. That's kind of just like what's there, and then like in my head, I just think, okay, I'm just gonna say something like nice, like, oh, thank you for the signature, like it's a pleasure watching you play or whatever. But what's also funny about doing it with sports is like it's not more of a kids thing, but like if it's just like a random free-for-all, it's like there's always like the little kids and like they're gonna of course get signatures, and then I'm like, ooh, like I guess I'll go here. I'm at least a shorter adult. Like it's like I feel kind of awkward even like stepping in like, hey, I'm
put on a bigger
in my
hat,
30s.
Janet.
But can you sign my ball also? Like how you signed it for this 8-year-old who like also is goalie in his
you can't win.
soccer team.
You can't win.
I think recently I've had more fun like doing that for other people. So I've only been able to do it once. So I went to the international a few years ago, which was this big Dota tournament, right? And it just so happened that one of the commentators there, he and I used to be on the same forum, right? So we knew each other. And so at some point I texted, hey, I'm here. And like, we kind of met up. And then, so like my group of people who like had watched the streams and stuff in the matches and heard his voice when he was in the host, like we had basically like, I introduced him to them. Right. And so like, that was a big moment for them because they're not in this industry and they don't have like, they don't meet, people they see on TV really very often. I think like that to me felt better than like if I had just found like, some celebrity that I admired and had an interaction with them. Like I was more happy for them than I was for me to meet up with my friend.
The classy thing, if you're a celebrity and you want to make that money, is like put on at least some kind of little show or like a Q&A session
Dance,
or
monkey.
something like that.
I agree.
That people can come to and they're paying for that, and then anyone afterwards can come up and talk to you. Or
a lot of music artists do that with like their VIP. Like I know Cardi B does like VIP to her show like afterwards. It's like you can do a meet and greet with her. I think, for the most part. So
Fucking Cardi VIP.
yeah, I don't know.
I got bad news, everybody. This meet and greet's going to be more challenging. Apparently, Shannon Doherty died in 24. So, terrible name to pull out of my hat. So I
Oh, sorry,
apologize.
Shannon.
Well, thank God it happened to you and
Sorry.
none of us. So
Yeah, exactly. Trickier meet.
this
Hey,
is part of being a founder, you know.
Ben,
I
I
thought you
have
meant
to.
about Shannon Doherty. It's better that happened to her than us.
MEAT.
I
Yes,
have to
Kyle?
go because I got to pick up my daughter from a school event. I
Why?
thought we were going to be done. She just doesn't want to hang out at school any longer.
All
I
right.
just did. It's my fault. I thought we were going to be done by now, and I apologize.
Okay,
but
go ahead
I
and
got-
clap
I got
out.
to
A lot of
roll.
time of
I'll
that
leave my
meet and greet.
camera on, okay?
Oh, yeah, that'd be wonderful. Okay, bye, Kyle. Clap, though.
It's too late. Oh,
Well, now it's
Yes,
even
like-
more confusing.
Clap that never comes through.
Okay.
Why do we
Well, this
clap?
time he's
Why do we
muted.
clap?
Yeah, this does. You don't need to clap if their camera stays on. Obviously, there's other rules. Okay, what about
so
this
that you
one?
can learn to pick yourself back up, Jeff.
Batman Begin.
Batman Begin.
That's how it started.
Here's a weird one. Acquired. It's a very good podcast for like the history of companies and stuff that I've enjoyed quite a bit. Just like really long episodes, yada yada. They just had their 10th anniversary and they had a good episode with Michael Lewis, the author, like interviewing them about 10 years what they've learned from their podcast and stuff, which as a podcast geek was fascinating. And specifically, they're like, yeah, the problem is everybody came at like podcasting from like a media perspective and a journalism perspective, but like we're venture capitalists and we just do it completely differently. And they just had weird perspectives on so many things. But one of them was they like invest in most of their sponsors. And then also it's like their sponsorship package when they reach out to people for their podcast is like, oh yeah, like we go for like high-end business to business sponsors. And then part of the package is like, we will fly out and visit you and your executive team for 2 days and interview your CEO and stuff like at the company. So it's like this whole elaborate pitch process to just become a sponsor for that show. And it blew my mind on the meet and greet level of like, these companies are paying not just for an ad on the podcast, but for them to like fly out and do like a mini in-person episode of Acquired. Like that is shrewd, but also really bizarre. But I guess that's how you make the big bucks in podcasting. Anyways, Sam Worms writes in and they ask, what's your go?
Wait, are we gonna send you out to Huel?
Oh,
Is
can
that-
you imagine going to the Huel factory? That'd be like my Willy Wonka. Seeing
The
the
Huel
powder come
factory.
off the assembly line. I'd jump into the giant Huel river. I'd go into a tunnel of Huel as chickens' heads are being cut off. Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, you can start doing that for like when you do the developer tours. You say, hey, if you want to pay us extra money, we'll do one for you if you pay us.
Well, hang on, like a paid MinnMax spotlight that we tried to do for like 2
Yeah.
years and nobody wanted it. Yeah. I guess we could try to do that again, but it didn't go well. They said, leave me alone. Stay out of my inbox. Anyway, Sam Worms writes in and they said, what's your go-to Dairy Queen order? Simple yet stunning
Blizzard.
question. What, Heath Blizzard?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've recently gotten into the cupfections. Have you seen those?
No, those not. Those
They're
aren't
basically
our thing.
sundaes with a brownie in them.
Okay, all right.
They're
Recently,
real good. And well, I like the
into-
cup factor. You know, it's like it's not. It's like a sundae with but it's like portable, right?
Okay,
So,
yeah.
that, and I like their hot dogs quite a bit actually. I think they're like
Mock
two. They're like
this
2.5
goon. Mock this goon. Fucking hot dogs at Dairy Queen? What are you, 6? Get out of here.
I like hot dogs, man. I don't-
Get out of here. Hot dogs.
Basically, we
at
invited you
Dairy
here to berate you. So who likes combat? Who likes the Dairy Queen hot dogs?
Queen. That's the weirdest thing you've ever said on this podcast.
As opposed to their other high cuisine like burgers and chicken tenders.
Chicken tenders are good. Every other food is barely acceptable. The hot eats category is outrageous, surreal. Janet, you know what you're getting?
No, I don't like Dairy Queen. I don't think we had a lot of them growing up. Looking at the locations in the Chicago area, I think there's there's a couple. There's like
What? There's gotta be a ton,
3
right?
or 4. Last time I had Dairy Queen, maybe it wasn't Dairy Queen. Maybe I'm mixing up with something else. I got food poisoning. So I don't eat there.
Did
I'm
you
like, I'm
order
never
that?
gonna eat there again. What
It
did
was
I
the
order?
hot dog, right?
Yeah, it's a terrible
No, it was a
go-to
burger
order.
or something.
See, that's why I don't get the burger.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's actually like none around me here either. It's like I'm just not a Dairy Queen person.
That's weird.
I will say I didn't think it through. I haven't gotten a Blizzard in a very long time, but we do get the Dairy Queen cakes, the ice cream cakes.
Oh, the best.
So it would
that is
probably
that
be the
is
ice cream cake.
that's tough to
Yeah, I
compete
feel
with.
like that's the other thing is that like I wouldn't go to Dairy Queen to get a meal. It's mostly like
That was where I
get
made
a
a
hot dog
mistake.
to go with my ice cream, right? If I want a meal in that vein, I would go to Culver.
Am I alone for thinking it's very funny for his answer to be hot dogs?
I said
really
a
know
hot
too.
dog. I said a hot
It's-
dog.
If you're not getting ice cream, I
I
don't
know
know.
you don't get multiple.
I said I get a hot dog to go with my ice cream.
So you're saying you go up to a Dairy Queen and you say, "Sir, I'd like a bandolier of hot dogs," and you cover your body in them?
That's right. And then I have a little hot dog gun that I go bang, bang, right into my mouth.
Yum yum bang bang. My answer, and obviously the correct answer, and people poo-poo it. Like blizzards are good if you're traveling on the road. Something even that's kind of tough to drive, and you got to scoop. It's tricky. Blizzards.
Right, you just really
great.
unsold me immediately.
No, but here's my correct answer. Not good for driving, but everybody poo-poos it. Everybody overlooks it. It's something we reference culturally more than people actually order it. The answer is a cold hot dog. No, it's close. A banana split. Do yourself a favor. Go order a banana split. It is the best thing you can get at Dairy Queen, and everybody forgets it on the
That's
menu.
basically what a confection is. You can just add a banana to it.
If I wanted a confection, I would have said confection cereal. I want a banana split every time. It's so freaking good. When's the last time you guys had a banana split? They're the best.
I've had a
I don't
confection
like them that
recently,
much.
so yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I
like
feel like
if
a
I
banana
was
split's
gonna-
such a cartoon character as order. It's like, who the f- is eating a banana split?
You didn't mock the hot dog?
In today's
true.
economic climate,
They're
they're
the
gonna
best.
kill me first when it's time to eat the rich. I'm not gonna order a banana split. You
Banana
with your
split
house
is
and your
a
banana
cartoon
split
as
and your
yeah.
new price Steam Deck. Ben's like, it's not even that expensive. I don't know why everyone's making a big deal about
We
it.
are
Banana
raising the
split.
prices of banana
He
split.
eats the
because-
banana
Meanwhile,
split right
Cereal's
off the
stuck eating
Steam
hot
Deck,
dogs
which
at
is
Dairy
just
Queen.
disgraceful.
I'm not stuck. I'm enjoying it.
What? Banana split isn't $18. It's just like 2 scoops of ice cream. What are we talking about here?
They're not $18 today.
Okay, I can't use Google AI. $5. Come on. Money bags my butt. Jeff, I know you.
Yeah, I'm just
I know
trolling
got
you,
my
but I do
back.
think it's just. I feel like it looks good, but I don't feel like it is like that good. I'm just
That's
not
where you're
interested.
wrong. That's where you're wrong. It looks.
How are you
good
eating
and
it on
is-
the road? Are you driving, eating that banana split, or are you?
You kind of
stopping?
just
Yeah,
like lick
your whole sales pitch of this was it's good for eating
No,
while
I
you're
said-
driving,
check
and
the
you're
tape.
busting out a
Check
banana
the
split.
tape. I said it wasn't. I said it wasn't good to eat on the road. You
I don't remember it that
yeah.
way.
Listen up, spy.
I actually also have to leave the podcast. No,
Yeah, I gotta go drive Kyle's daughter back
I've
to
got a
wherever she's
banana
at.
split.
Oh, Suriel still got it. Suriel, what do you like for a question of the week?
Was the Steam thing wasn't a bigger question, was it?
No, I guess we could give it to
That was a
us.
segment.
I guess the celebrity one. I feel that's probably the most.
The meet and greet one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spy
we've talked about that for a
one,
while.
Destiny, Great Combat or Traversal, but okay, you're going
Dairy
celebrities.
Queen, which got really
Dairy
contentious for some
Queen,
reason.
of course. All right, Mike Lynch, congratulations. You are going to meet and greet a prize from i8bit in your mailbox. Slime Rancher 2 on PS5, thanks to i8bit. Now it's time for something that we love to call Get One Load of This. Hey, y'all, sit down here. Get a load of this. Look. Good-looking guy, not the biggest fan of his films lately, but Pedro Pascal, who I think was just like a 0 in Mandalorian and Grogu and basically a 0 in Fantastic Four, but he's done some good work, I assume. But apparently he's a huge fan of Minneapolis. There's this interview for Mandalorian and Grogu, and the interview is from Minnesota. They mentioned Minneapolis, and it's very fun to see Pedro Pascal probably just desperate to talk about anything other than this film that he wasn't really in. He just did VO probably for a day on. And so when Minneapolis came up, he's like, I don't want to talk about Mandalorian Grogu. I want to talk about Minneapolis. And it's just like 7 minutes of him like gushing about Minneapolis and Juicy Lucy's and all this stuff and how it's his favorite city in the U.S. So Pedro is welcome as a guest cohort at MinnMax whenever he wants here. Link below for
We'll pay
all this
him.
fun stuff. And
We'll
we'll
pay him for
pay
it.
you real Mando bucks, dude.
The ultimate meet and greet.
That's right.
I'll get a load of this. I don't know if this has been mentioned before in the past because it's not a new product, but I was thinking about it today because I own this product already. The GB Operator by Epilogue. They're the people that I believe they also made the sort of adapters for. I'm trying to look at it now. Now, of course, I can't find it. Whatever. This thing that they made, it's called the GB Operator. It lets you play like Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games on your PC. Obviously, a lot of people are dancing with the devil's emulation, which I get. A devil I may know a thing or two about as well. But I do think it's kind of fun to just like have an extra way to like use your cartridges if you're interested in collecting, you know, be able to stream things, just play it on the PC. It also has a like authenticity checker element. I guess something with I don't know about the fakes and the not fakes, the repos, the chipset or whatever. But like it has a way to verify if your games are real or not, which is also kind of a fun bonus. And it's only $50 for now.
Links below for the stuff. Jeff, and what do you got?
That's cool. Yeah, get a load of this. I feel like we've been dancing around it all day with we can't get away from AI. Well, guess what? You can get away from AI. Turns out DuckDuckGo, their search, if their like actual program that you can download, has been blowing up week over week. It's just like astronomically the number of downloads they're getting is way more because you can turn all that crap off, or you can just go to noai.duckduckgo.com, and they basically have an entire use that URL, and it takes you to their search engine without any AI-assisted answers, or they say they remove AI-generated images, which I don't even know how they can do it.
Weird.
But they're very much leaning into if you don't like trash Google and all their AI that they're shoving down your throat, you can just go there for a normal, old-school web search.
Antiquated internet.
Yes, that's what we all really want.
Mm-hmm. Surreal, you got one? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Building off of that a little bit, if you want to go on the browser level, I recommend Vivaldi, which is kind of like a open source Firefox. And so I switched to that about a month ago, and it's like most of the time it is just the internet browser you're using, but it doesn't have any of the like kind of Google AI stuff, which I found out apparently, like I think Google part of the Google download right now, it has like an AI tracker in it. And if you go into the settings for like try to delete it in Google's files or whatever, it'll add it back in the next time you launch it. So
something about that.
If you want to switch off of Chrome, I've been enjoying Vivaldi a lot so far.
Cool.
So.
Nice. Hey, get a lot of this from the Discord, the community Discord, where there's a channel where people share fun stories all day, every day. We Go Giant shared last week, Kirk Hamilton from Triple Click, friend of the show. He was on the show a while ago. He posted a blog at kirksnotes.com about the soundtrack to Mixtape. And since he's such a expert with music and his podcast Strong Songs and all that stuff, he broke down like the soundtrack to Mixtape. But specifically, he's like, yeah, people aren't talking about the fact that there's like a lot of songs in here that are new, that are originals for this game. They make it seem like it's like, a classic tune from the 70s, but it's actually like an original song that's put into the game. And so everyone just kind of ran with it as in all these songs are classic songs, but he breaks down the new stuff and how it stands out and all that fun stuff. So link if you want to check that stuff out. But that is it for the episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching, listening, sharing. Sergio Vasquez, thanks for being here, sir.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah.
I hope you come back.
Yeah, please
after how you were
back.
treated.
I'll be bringing my hot dog next time.
Just crumping on a DQ hot dog. Any place you'd like people to go for you?
Not at the moment, but hopefully be able to talk about stuff soon.
Is there stuff brewing? What type of stuff?
We still don't have a real estate for that Grasshopper book, so hopefully by then I'll be able to talk about that in detail more.
You've never mentioned it here. You're writing a book on Grasshopper?
I co-authored a book on Grasshopper manufacture with Blake Hester over at Lost in Cult.
That's awesome.
And I also did one of those essay books. There's 4 essay books if you get like the collector's edition, and I did like a 30-page thing on the silver case. So.
Jeez. All right. Cool. More info. We'll share info when you want to share it. Janet, what do you got going on?
Yeah, I just wanted to plug an feature article I wrote on my website, pen2pixels.com, called Trying Tamagotchi for the First Time Ever in 2026. It's exactly what it sounds like. I got a Tamagotchi. I've never had one. I said, can I keep this thing alive? And what was this about? What is it like as a game? What's it like as just a little device and buddy? It was a fun time.
Nice. A bunch of stuff happening here at MinnMax. A new episode of Pew Pew Bang is up, all about Animal Crossing. And an extra dark Sarah's Loaded Gun for $5 Patreon supporters. Where we talk about being stranded on the island. And Haley
I can't remember what it was. That's like,
it was just, I guess it's weird to say it was weird and dark and sexual for Pew Pew Bang, but I guess it's kind of just a default of what everyone was immediately volleying out there for how they'd survive on the island. So look forward to that. It's in the bonus podcast feed if you're a $5 supporter. Otherwise, the regular episodes in a standalone podcast feed. You can subscribe to Pew Pew Bang. And if you'd like to see half of Pew Pew Bang in Japan, Sarah and Haley are over in Kyoto. They just got back. And so they were filming a big MinnMax spotlight on Oasis and 17-bit and their journeys through Tokyo and Kyoto. So that's going to be coming up in like mid-June. But as part of their adventures, they went to Bit Summit, which is the indie gaming festival in Kyoto, which is an awesome show. And so that is a standalone video that is up right now. So if you want to see an appetizer almost of their entire Japan trip and watch them explore what quickly became their favorite convention, you can check it out on MinnMax's YouTube channel. Speaking of that YouTube channel, coming up soon, Doc Lightning, which is our short documentary film festival for the community where we challenge everybody to make a documentary under 3 minutes. The deadline was the end of May. Due to our schedules and not being able to screen those, we decided to give everybody a little extra time. So now the deadline to submit on Patreon your short documentary that's under 3 minutes is now June 8th. June 8th for that deadline. Check Patreon for more details. There's the upload folder and all that stuff. And then we'll have a big screening coming up soon. Also, speaking of screenings, we have the big Summer Game Fest streams that are going to be happening. So reminder, we'll be doing YouTube reaction streams on MinnMax's YouTube channel. So Tuesday, June 2nd, we'll be reacting to Sony State of Play. Friday, June 5th, the Summer Game Fest showcase. Sunday, June 7th, the Xbox showcase. All that fun stuff. And again, if you jump in and support MinnMax on Patreon before this coming Monday at even that $2 tier, new supporters only will DM you the Steam code for Town to City, which rules. So get a great game and support us at the same time. We'd appreciate it. All right, that's it. We'll be back next week for the kickoff of the whole SGF season, recapping Sony State of Play, sharing hopefully some fun highlights. Thanks so much, everybody. Cyril, you want to send us out, dude?
Be good. Have fun. Let's go.